Hi, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Jake. Thank you for tuning in or watching the Toxic Crocs podcast. I have my co-hosts, Chris and Stacy Lease, and we have our first guest here today, and I'm excited for this. Ashley, right? Yes. I'm horrible with names. I'm surprised I remembered that. Well, shall we start off with Happy Crappies?
We should.
All right, Monsieur Chris, let's go ahead.
Happy. I am happy that I got to help some of our friends move to Omaha because I wouldn't say needed, but they needed help, so I'm glad we could help them. The downside of that is the crappy. We got back and we got Grand Island at like 1 o'clock in the morning and tired.
Okay. Yeah, if y'all should have given me a holler if you really needed some help or something with that stuff. Next time, keep me in mind.
I will.
I mean, I'm a bigger guy. So.
Noted.
Miss Chris, Stacy. Wow, Miss Chris. Sorry, guys.
Well, close enough. We switch name tags sometimes, so it works. But my happy crappy is along the same lines. I'm sad. The crappy is that our friends are moving to Omaha. Mm-hmm. The good thing was that we got to spend time with them yesterday. So
yeah.
Even though it was busy and a lot of work, it was fun. We hung out with them for a couple hours afterwards. So that was good.
Yeah, I'm gonna miss those guys. They were a lot of fun, especially that whole family was a lot of fun.
Yeah, they're great people.
Blessed people.
All right, Miss Ashley.
Yeah. I mean, my happy is I will be moving here very soon, which is awesome. I've been needing to move for a while, so I'm excited. Crappy is, I don't know. With moving, I'll miss my dogs and stuff, and work's been kind of crappy lately. We've been having a bunch of struggles and stuff, but it's all right.
Yeah, work's work. It's not always fun. The games kind of suck sometimes. Mm-hmm. My happy crappy, Toby Mac was epic. Mm-hmm. Not gonna lie on that one. The crappy part of that part though was the pit was ginormous. It's like there was maybe, I'd say at least 1,500, 2,000 people in the pit, yet there was this giant gap between the rest of the crowd. It's like they could have made that pit a lot smaller. Mm. And he even said something on the stage about it, like, I wish I could bring you all in, but they won't let me, and crud like that. But we were there, and it was our life group, Holly's life group. We went, excuse me, and we're sitting there trying to find a spot for one of our members to kind of sit down so they don't get dizzy and able to see it better. And next thing you know, the State Fair people come walking up to us and give us all VIP wristbands, so we got to go to the side where all the chairs and stuff were and actually sit down.
Sweet.
Nice.
So that was pretty awesome. Crappy. I always have a hard time with this one, to be honest. Crappy. I can't say busy at work because I like being busy at work because then it goes faster.
Oh, wait, it's Saturday. I was thinking your crappy could be at Sunday and you can't go to Baristas, but never mind.
I've never been to Baristas, to be honest with you.
What?
Yeah, never been. Never.
Dude, we got to change that.
Yeah, yeah, I do. I need to change that a lot.
If you're in Grand Island, go to Baristas Coffee because it's the best coffee in Grand Island.
It really is.
Not sponsored.
Yeah.
But it could be sponsored.
But could be sponsored, yeah.
It would be awesome to kind of recoup some of the money I've spent on this thing.
I know a guy.
I think we all know that same guy.
Right.
I think my only crap would be is I was here 20 minutes later than I wanted to be. But that's because I had to get my pumpkin spice caramelicious. All right. What all of you guys told her about our podcast? Because I don't know if you ever listened or watched or anything.
I haven't, but I've heard a little bit from like Chris and Dalton have kind of talked about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So not a lot.
Yeah. I mean,
it's the best.
When you guys started this podcast last year, Dalton was like really excited about it, and he talked about it a lot on Mondays. He wasn't specific on details, but he talked about it a lot.
That's because we were super random. You probably couldn't remember all the details, to be honest with you. This is kind of a podcast that just talks about life and everything going on in it, really. Issues that we're having, random topics, questions, ideas. But we kind of try to keep it more of a Christian value situation here.
Sure. Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Kind of showing everybody what Christians actually are versus what's on TV and how we're portrayed in the media.
Right.
And we're not the "you're going to hell" type people. Yeah, no, I don't like that.
I don't know that.
I don't like that at all. That's not me. I'm not that kind of a person.
No fire and brimstone for you.
No, not at all. No. Although I do know people like that, and I disagree with it wholeheartedly. Sorry, I'm playing with my Crocs under the table. I heard that over my headset.
There's a reason why the Crusades was not as effective as it should have been.
Yeah.
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 Convert or die is not a good policy.
No, it's not. No, it's not. That's not what Jesus taught either.
Right, yeah.
All right. Who wants to go off with random questions?
I've got mine ready to go.
Yay.
Get on the right camera here.
So mine is a two-parter. If you could use magic to do one mundane task for the rest of your life, what would it be? And what would you name that spell?
That is a hard question. I think for me, keeping the living room and kitchen clean. I don't know, cleaning almost, some whatever. I don't know.
Clean almost.
Clean almost. Anyone else?
I think I'd have to agree with something like that. Yeah, for sure. Like helping just like clean around the house and whatever, because it's the worst.
Mine would be dusting. I don't mind any type of cleaning except for dusting. I hate dusting. And it would be dust us, remove us.
Dust us,
Nice.
remove us.
Mine would be probably just not having to go to the bathroom. So, vamos. Vamos, a poopos or something. I don't know.
Oh, man. You said that was a two-part question?
Yeah, the name of the
Oh,
spell
the name
was
of
the
it?
second part.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
okay. Chris, you got a fun one?
Not off the top of my head.
Okay,
Although I could think of one.
you want me to go first? You want to think of one real quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. So we all know about unicorns, right? And how they're like the whole horse with the horn thing and all that. Did you know the old Bibles talked about unicorns?
The old Bibles.
Old Bibles, like 1700s, before that, like clear long before. And the unicorn, the horse thing is a recent, like 150, 200 year thing.
Did not know that.
So a rhinoceros species name actually has unicorn in it. So let me look this up real quick. Sorry, I should have had this pulled up. Rhino species name. Dr. Google. Okay. It's not pulling it up. Either way, it was like unicornus or something was meant for a one-horned rhino. So the Bible was talking about rhinos when it talked about unicorns, because that's one thing that people like bring up from the Bible. Well, that's not, it's a fictitious animal. It was talking about rhinos. And like the two-horned rhinos, bicornus or something like that. So I just thought that was a real interesting thing. I never thought of that before. And I was always like, oh, unicorns, whatever. Well, it's talking about a rhino.
That's super interesting, though.
Right? I do have a random question.
Do it.
Okay. What's your favorite die? Like roll die.
Oh,
Dice.
die to roll. Okay.
Yeah, die to roll.
That's a good question. I think I like D4s.
Okay.
I think
Go ahead.
I like D20s. I mean, they're just so fun.
I don't know. I was rolling really good with my 20 last time, so I'm going to go with that one. I'm still a little new to this. I mean, I was like, what, our third or fourth session?
It's fair. Yeah.
Do you have anything weird or random to ask? Or serious? It could be serious, too. That's totally fine.
Not at this moment, I don't think. No.
Okay. All right. Well, then I'm going to move kind of into some, I don't know. What did I put our topics on the Discord, didn't I?
I believe so.
Anyone, you know what sucks about that?
You don't have Discord on your computer?
Nope.
I'll pull it up. Let's see.
Because I think one thing that was weighing on my mind is I wanted to ask you two, or everybody really, what should be the job of a Christian outside of the church?
Oh, okay.
Because I know what my thoughts are, and I know what I've read. I don't know what y'all's thoughts are.
Okay. Outside of the church, what is the job of a Christian?
Like outside of not just the building, because that's a church, but I'm talking about the church.
So you mean in your day-to-day life, what is your job?
Yep, and like maybe to non-believers or people struggling as well. My voice started doing some weird things there.
Do you want to go first? Do you want me to go first?
Go for it.
Okay. So my thoughts on this are that the job of a Christian outside of church is to show the love of Jesus, basically. That's it. I mean, if somebody needs something, you give them that. If somebody needs, emotional support, they need a ride, they need food, provide for physical needs, also love on them. I mean, that's really pretty simple.
I think she summed it up. I mean,
At some point, I want you to go into depth in something, darn it.
we'll get there.
Because I always see the wheels turning in your head, and then you just keep it back. I want them wheels to let loose like greased lightning going on here.
You'll get there.
All right, so for me, obviously, yes. I think outside of the church, we need to be showing love to everyone else and not hate, not judge. Because I know it says, Paul talks about majorly that you are not to judge non-believers, but you are to judge people of the church, of the faith, and get them, I guess, right or fix the problem.
Right.
We are supposed to show love and understanding and not supposed to judge people that aren't believers. And I hate that there are so many people in the Christian faith that are so judgy.
Right.
Like we
Yeah.
brought up earlier, the fire and brimstone, you're going to hell, people.
Yeah. Yeah.
I believe in the Bible. It doesn't say that we're supposed to judge other Christians, but we're supposed to
Yep, it does.
refine, make sure that we're doing the right thing.
We're
If someone,
We're supposed to hold them accountable.
yeah,
Yeah, it's an accountability thing, but I know in the two versions I read, it brought up judgment.
okay,
I think it's it's not exactly a judging like judge, jury, executioner, though. It's more of a fruit inspector.
Yeah, fruit inspector.
Jesus
Yeah.
talks about. There's one of the parables about the trees and looking at the trees. Actually, I think he made a tree wither, actually, that wasn't providing good fruit, that was outside of the parables. But yeah, it's more about holding each other accountable. And if you see your brother or your sister in Christ doing something like being judgmental to somebody, you should call them out on it.
right.
Right now, I'm trying to pull up the Bible.com page because there's a thing that Paul talks about in Corinthians.
Yeah.
To say
Probably
Corinthians
Second
5.
Corinthians would be my guess, but I wouldn't know chapter and verse. I just love the book of Second Corinthians. It's my favorite.
He is a very long-winded person.
Oh yeah,
Paul is.
I love Paul's writing.
Guess who's a pastor? Yes, you are.
Okay, so. Oh my goodness, that came over. All right, so I'm just gonna read it. It's 1 Corinthians chapter 5. I'm gonna start at 1 and probably end at 4 because I'm not sure what it says at 1. Okay, so I can hardly believe the report about the sexual immorality going on among you, something that even pagans don't do. I am told that a man in your church is living in sin with his stepmother. You are so proud of yourselves, but you should be mourning in sorrow and shame, and you should remove this man from your fellowship. Even though I am not with you in person, I am with you in spirit as though I were there. I have already passed judgment on this man. In the name of the Lord Jesus, you must call a meeting of the church. So this guy's sleeping with his stepmom in that story. So that's a big no-no, obviously. But right there. I was talking. I did not have the camera on me at all, so I need to get better at this. Sorry. But yeah, I think it's to judge in your church and then to fix the problem.
Right.
Yeah,
That's what you're supposed to do. But we're not supposed to judge the outsiders.
right. And it's not judge, jury, executioner.
Right.
It's basically acknowledging that there's a problem and then addressing that problem.
Yeah.
Yes.
And assisting if possible.
Yeah. Yep.
You can talk too.
Yeah.
That's fine.
No, I definitely kind of agree with that of like, not judging, other people and everything, but like holding people accountable for, their actions and stuff. For sure.
I think it's a good moral to live by. If like people in your close friend group, your close family, because not all families blood. And that's one thing I want to put out too. Not all families blood. So people in your close family, your web, you need to keep each other accountable and make sure you're doing good moral things. So, was that my question? What we? Did I bring that up?
Yeah, we
Yeah.
transitioned, so that was the next.
That was one of
part.
the topics that was in the Discord.
Oh, dude, my mind is so lost. I don't know any further thought on that one.
I think we pretty much covered it.
Okay. So real quick, wow, that hurt my ear. I'm all over the place today. Sorry, guys. Our podcast people, they kind of know me. There's a lot of people from our church that know me. We don't know you too well. You want to give us just a quick background of yourself?
Sure. So, my name's Ashley. 25. Born and raised here. Personally, I'm not really religious or anything. I, consider myself atheist, but I definitely, don't care what anyone else believes or anything. Just as long as hey, you're a cool person, I'm a cool person. We'll be chill. I don't know. I've known Chris and Stacy now for a couple years, gaming and everything.
At
3
least.
years-ish, yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Sweet. Yeah, I've got no problem with that.
I don't think any of the three of us consider ourselves religious either, so we're all in the same boat.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would not call myself religious
No,
because
that's-
Jesus taught against religion, and so did multiple other people.
That's a dangerous route.
Yeah.
What is it Pastor John Tash always says? Religion is a quick way to, what does he say?
Oh,
Religion is a fast way to hell or something
yeah,
like that.
yeah. I think that's it, and it's true.
Yeah. It's not about religion. It's about relationship, one-on-one relationship with God. So,
Yes.
and with other people too. I mean, we're supposed to be relational. We're supposed to care for everybody inside of our church, even when they drive you nuts. And you're
Yeah.
supposed to care for the people in the world that are outside of the church too.
Yes.
We don't have anybody in our church that drives us nuts.
No, everybody's perfect, right?
I know I'm perfect. But there's a story where Jesus is talking about where he says, "Be gone from me, for I never knew you," and it's talking about the people that did all the religious things, but didn't actually have the relationship and live by it. So I think that's a big deal to point that out there. Where I don't really. To me, Christianity is just a name for what we are. I don't think it should be a religion. You get into other sects of the Christianity, and that to me is religion.
Right.
To name one, Catholicism. That's a completely different religion, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Which I think that'd be a fun one to talk about someday.
Let's do that. I got to find a book if we're going to do that. There's going to be some Catholics that hear this that are going to be like, that's not cool. You can't talk about that. I'll be like, oh, yes, I can.
Oh, we should get somebody that's Catholic on here. We've got friends that are
Oh,
Catholic,
yeah.
That'd be fun.
We could get Katie to remote in.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, we
or-
could do that. I can Bluetooth right in on a
Yeah.
phone. I think it'd be cool to actually have a priest kind of hear their side of things. If they would ever do that. I'm kind of doubting they would, but I think it'd be cool to do.
If you got the right priest, I think
Yeah.
they would. I mean, I watch a lot of conservative podcasts, and a lot of different religious leaders actually go on and talk to people that are, have different beliefs. So,
I think if we ask around, we might be able to find some low-key priest that'd be like, yeah, I'll come on and talk.
yeah.
That'd be cool.
I need to remember who that priest was because I was part of a wedding. I was a groomsman. And then after the wedding, we all got on the trailer, got the bottles of whiskey and all that out, getting ready to celebrate. And here comes the priest, goes, "I've got confessions in an hour. Can I have some of those?" And grabs some beers and a bottle and walks off.
Oh, wow.
I bet that'd be a person.
That's the guy we need, right?
Oh, my gosh.
That'll be a good time.
All of us that weren't Catholic were like, is that allowed for him? And people are like, well, if I was doing confessions, I don't think I'd want to be sober for that either.
Right.
Oh, gosh.
I can only imagine the things you hear in that little confessional booth that people did.
Oh, gosh. Yeah.
All right. I had so many things that I was thinking about this week, but I did not write a darn thing down like I wanted to write it down on my Talks and Crocs friggin' Google Sheets thing. I love Google Sheets. Why did it go away from that? What's so atheist? So let's go. What are your views on people that are Christian, like negative, good, whatever? Like, what have you experienced? I want to know because then maybe I can understand.
Yeah. I think personally it's been pretty positive. I mean, I used to, growing up, would go to church with one of my friends every once in a while. It was mainly just to kind of hang out with my friend. I wasn't going for like the actual, to hear the like preaching and everything. I was
Yeah.
like, I want to hang out with my friend. Like she goes to church on Sunday. So like, hey, I'll go hang out with her for a couple hours. And her mom, whenever I would stay the night or like eat supper or any meal really with them, they always said the Lord's Prayer before. So her mom was like, all right, like if you're gonna eat with us, you got to say this. I was like, okay. I was like, I don't know it, but like I'll learn it, I guess. Okay. And so that was always very interesting. And then I had another friend that I would go to her youth like thing on Wednesday nights.
Yeah.
And yeah, that was always pretty fun because, they would be like playing games sometimes or whatever, like play music and stuff. And that was always a lot of fun. But I never grew up like going to church or anything. And I would go to the singing Christmas tree that they have here. It's
I'm lost. Singing Christmas
it's
tree?
Around Christmas time. I don't know what church or anything puts it on. I think it still goes on where they have a giant Christmas tree. People like stand around it and everything, and like they'll sing and stuff. But it's talking about like the Jesus's like resurrection and everything.
Oh, okay.
And I used to go to that like all the time.
I've never heard of it, and we've been in Grand Island for 10 years now.
I believe it goes on downtown, and I've heard of it for quite a long time. So.
I have
course.
never heard of it. And I've lived near here now, so I'll run in 7 years.
Let me. I'll dig here. Give me a second.
That's
All right.
insane. I've never heard of it. But of course,
It's very cool, honestly. Like, that was just kind of like our family's tradition around Christmas time. They would put it on and we'd just go to watch it because, I mean, they did, really good with it and everything. And I remember there was one time afterwards, like, some of the people, were kind of like the actors, like, putting on this show and everything were, saying hi to people. And I wanted to go see the guy who played Jesus. And, my parents were very much like hey, you can't cuss. So, my mind was like, oh, like, obviously, like, you can't say Jesus Christ for, like, cussing or whatever. And so I was like, I want to go meet that guy. And I wouldn't say his name at all. My parents were like, you can say his name. Like, if you're talking about it. I was like, okay, I want to go meet Jesus. And I remember, like, I would cry when he got, like, crucifixed. Because, like, it was pretty intense show, especially for, like, a kid. Like, it was kind of intense.
So they weren't holding back at all. And like,
Not really, no.
Okay.
And they would actually have like some live animals and stuff too that would like come in, and it was pretty cool. But yeah.
Did you find it yet?
The Singing Christmas Tree is held at the Grand Island Evangelical Free Church.
Oh, the E3.
There's a suggested donation, but yeah, it's been going on for 40 years.
Oh.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's insane. Because
Oh, we know what we can do around Christmas time.
Do our own and steal their thunder. Wait, what? No? Sorry.
It's all good.
You get to put that on, though. You get to do all the legwork for that.
I'll do like a one-man show, act every part.
Oh my gosh, that'd be hilarious. That'd be so much fun.
That would be interesting. Huh? All right, don't mean to interrupt you there. Sorry.
No, you're fine. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, growing up, my dad would say a lot, like, I'll believe in aliens before I believe in Jesus. And, like, that was always a weird thing from him that he would say. And I'd be like, as a kid, obviously, like, not really understanding or anything. But, I don't know. My parents weren't really religious or anything, so I didn't grow up with that. And as I've gotten older, I've just, never... I don't know, just never really like, I don't know, turned to religion or anything. Like,
That's fine. You know what? Y'all should have had her listen to our last episode.
Oh, the
Yeah.
aliens.
They
and
kind of told me
conspiracies.
about it.
That was fun.
Yeah, the aliens and conspiracies. Well, she can technically still listen to it.
You still could. I mean, I'd highly recommend it. It's a good show. You know?
Right.
But yeah. So like, I didn't grow up in a religious thing. 'Cause I know you don't know me, so I'll kind of give myself back. I didn't grow up with any kind of religion either. Like for a little bit, we were kind of being pushed towards this. Put the camera on me. Pushed towards this, so that way the people at home and watching YouTube don't just see you guys staring at me. We were kind of like forced. I'm thinking it was a Baptist church when I was a kid, and it's just super boring, right? Just the guy up there doing stuff, and I'm just in the pew, la-di-da-di-da, bored out of my mind. But no, we didn't. I didn't really grow up religious at all. It was was that last year I got baptized here?
I think so.
Yeah,
Yeah, it
last
was
year I
last
got
year.
baptized here. I'm 31. So it's before that I always kind of had a belief in God, right? Like to me I knew he existed. I knew Jesus existed, but I didn't have like a faith with it. And I struggled with it, especially when my brother-in-law committed suicide, to where I started like looking up Norse gods and stuff like that, because my ancestry is the Norse region of Europe.
Okay.
Found that out when I did a DNA test. Like I forget to breathe, it seems like, when I start talking. So yeah, that's all my ancestry. My DNA is like that whole region of Europe there. So I was like turning to that and all that, but I came back. It was really my son that brought me back into it. So he started asking questions I couldn't answer. I asked around at work what church I should go to just kind of see what it's like. And my favorite church of basic training was a church where we'd like have a rock concert beforehand. And a lot of us went to church just to get out from cleaning the bathrooms and the barracks and stuff. Just get away from that. And because we had to make them shine. When we took polishing pads to everything to where you could see yourself in that porcelain as a mirror. You could shave in that darn thing. But no, we used to go there as a rock concert. Then there was a deal afterwards. The preacher was really upbeat and lively, so he actually kept your attention, which I think you had to be for having like 400 soldiers come in from training.
Right.
So, yeah. Started coming here, and third service, I was bawling my eyes out standing there during worship. So, yeah, I came back to it. But, this is tail-based training I served, but I am also electrical mechanical technician, meaning I know how to wire and program things for machinery. That's what I do for a living. I've got a wife and a son. I don't really know what else to talk about myself. I really don't ever do that. Got this podcast. I'm a Pokemon fan, Pikachu. If you're on the YouTube, you'll see my cool shirt that I knew Chris would like. I was kind of sad I couldn't find a Charmander one, though, to be honest. It is what it is.
They're out there.
Walmart didn't have one.
No.
I'm sad.
They should have went to Walmart.
Charizard is the number one. That's just my opinion. But what else should I say or talk about myself? I don't do that. I've kind of grew up redneck a little bit out in the country, out in the sticks. I don't know if you know where Litchfield is.
I do.
It was about an hour west of here.
Hour and 20 minutes, something
Yeah.
like that.
So I grew up out in the sticks out that way, so on the country roads.
I think it's like northwest, right? It's a little bit north because I think you go up
Yeah,
281.
northwest. It's
yeah.
Well, it's on. You can hop on highway. Well, that ain't. Is that
281, and then it
I'd
goes
have to
north,
look.
I think.
Well, highway 2 is right here, right?
Or no, it is Highway 2. You
Yeah,
go
just
west
Highway
on
2 and
Highway
go
2,
west.
and then you go north, I think.
Yeah, it's west on Highway 2, then it just keeps going all the way straight
Yeah.
through. You can go to Broken Bow from there too. But yeah,
Yeah.
lived out that way. Anybody else want to talk? What do you got here? Community Day Charmander. Oh, that's what you sent me the other day.
It's on right now.
Oh, I didn't pick one up. I need to.
That's fair.
Um,
Are we talking about our belief background? If
I
you
guess
will?
we could.
Do you want to go or you want me to go?
I don't care.
That's one of the reasons I was on my phone just then, besides Pokemon Go, was to looking to see what the name of the church was that I used to attend when I was a kid.
Oh,
Unfortunately, it's not on Google Maps, but
does it exist still?
yeah, it's still
Iowa,
there.
right?
Yeah. We were just up there 2 years ago,
I think it was right before COVID, so I think it was 2019.
and the building was still there. So
Yeah.
I grew up in some very small town. I believe it was a Lutheran church that we went to, but like you said, it was boring. Like you'd sing from a hymn, and there was Sunday school, so it was cool for the kids, but otherwise, the rest of it, you're just like, I come to a building and listen to a guy talk. Don't really care.
Yep.
And then my mom was more the driving force for belief than my dad. And my mom's like, I found a place in Marshalltown, is the next closest city. She's like, we're going to start going here. Let's go check it out, kind of the first visit deal. And went there, and that's a whole nother like hour-long topic. Just an amazing first experience.
Sweet.
That's where I got saved that day. I mean, it was just all at once.
Yep.
There was no messing around. God's like, I got this. We're pushing right here.
Why don't you tell him just like a little snippet of why you started believing in God and all miracles and
Well,
stuff?
I believed in God.
I know, but the miracles and stuff.
Became saved. Yeah, I witnessed a miracle that first day, the visit day. I watched I say young girl, but she was probably my age at the time, but I was with my brother. Her right foot was a foot shorter than her left. Well, sorry, her right leg was a foot shorter than her left.
Okay.
And I watched her bring her in, and they said that if everybody should pray, and she's going to get healed today. And I was scientific-minded enough that I was like, smoke and mirrors. What kind of trick are you guys trying to pull on me? Because you can't con a con. Come on, bring it. Mm-hmm. And I watched them heal her leg, which I was like, how? This is scientifically impossible. And that's, So, and then we went to that church for a long time. It eventually closed because the pastor moved, and then moved out to Nebraska and attended several churches. So, yeah.
Did you do like I kind of did and went through multiple different churches before you found something like this?
Not multiple. I really tried to do research if I was going to move somewhere to see what other churches would be available in the area that I was going, so that I could find somewhere that's like-minded.
Yeah.
Because I didn't want to go to some place I'd be like, nope, never going there again.
Yeah, this was the first church we actually went to in Grand Island.
Mm-hmm.
So
There's a church in North Platte that's, I want to say sister church, but it's not. They're very similar to Abundant Life. So I asked around, and they're like, Abundant Life's great.
So, I think what our sister church is Grace in Kearney.
Probably.
That's what we would call our sisters.
Yeah.
We do everything basically the same. Mm-hmm. That's where I'm trying to get Jasper to still go to.
Oh, he hasn't been going?
No, he's like, I can't wake up early enough. Teenage boy stuff,
Yeah.
Is what it is.
I need to build a stronger relationship with his mom so I can come down and just be like, time to go, buddy. Let's go.
Pretty sure if I vouch for you, it'd be all right. She trusts me enough. I mean, it's my sister, so.
That's fair.
yeah. Okay, so my early church experience, I went to it was a Baptist church called Brigham Baptist Church in Kansas City, and the pastor that was there, he was, I was like 6 or 7, I think, when we started going there. He was, in my opinion, like the most ancient person I knew. Now, he was probably like in his 70s, but he was so boring. Like, he put half the congregation to sleep. His wife would even fall asleep.
Oh, man.
So he had this like really soft, gentle voice. He was a great pastor. Horrible preacher. So, at that church, it was just a struggle to stay awake. So I volunteered all the time as soon as I was old enough to be in the nursery, even though I didn't really care for babies at all, just because then I got out of being in that service because
Understandable.
it was so boring. But he had a heart of gold. He was a very, very sweet pastor. And at that church, the whole reason we started going to that church is because my dad started a cleaning company, and he wanted to clean that church. And in order for us to clean there, we had to be members of the church. So then, therefore, we had to start going to that church because my dad was raised Catholic, and he really wasn't interested in going to a church because he got burnt by the Catholic Church and didn't like church at all. But my mom, she'd been to a bunch of different churches, and when I was really little, she told me about Jesus, but I didn't really understand. And that was the church that I was saved at, but we had some crazy stuff happened when the pastoral staff, when he left and we got a new pastor. The guy could preach. He was a wonderful preacher, but he was an evil man. He went in and he embezzled a bunch of money from the church and disappeared. And he lied to us. He told us that he didn't want somebody in the church cleaning the, or no, told us that he wanted somebody in the church to clean the church. And then my dad's like, well, we're members here. And he's like, oh, I didn't know you were members. Well, too bad. But one of the deacons told us that they didn't want church members cleaning the church anymore. They wanted somebody from outside to come in and clean the church. So we were getting two different stories, and we ended up just leaving that church because, there was lying going on and just bad stuff. And so I was out of church for, that was when I was maybe 10 or 11 until I was like 16 or 17. And then we went to a different church, and it was another Southern Baptist church. And that church was better, but it had some very toxic behaviors that were going on. There were certain people in the church that were very judgmental, and I got involved leading the youth, and they would run the youth off, like, get a haircut, stop smoking, don't get tattoos, like all that kind of stuff. So,
yeah, one of the normal things that bring people to church hurt and where that drives them away. Mm-hmm. I've been to plenty of churches like that where, I don't know, when we started trying to go again, I went through, I don't know, maybe 7 to 8 different churches. And like every one I found just hypocritical stuff, left and right. It's like, if this is how the people are, I'm not going to be part of it. When I did my own thing. And then that kind of makes me think of the other podcast I talk about all the time, the Help My Unbelief one, the one that we had on last season. And they were collab with Dalton and I. One of the guys on there talks about always, people ask him, well, how do you get into this? He's like, I should start reading my Bible, right? And he goes, no, I agree with him. I don't think you should just start reading the Bible. I think you should build a relationship first. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where you kind of start talking to God, praying to God, build that relationship first. And then if you want to delve into it, or you can go and try to be part of the community, which is the church, is the people. Mm-hmm. And find a good community, first off. One I highly recommend our church, honestly, Abundant Life here in Grand Island. After all the experiences I've had elsewhere, I recommend this one to everyone. So it brought Jasper in, and he eventually got baptized because he was coming here. But I hate how my mind thinks of things when everybody else is talking. I forget about it. I need to bring a notebook and just write stuff down.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I forgot I was going to go with that. Did I already tell my side of it? Like how I can? I think I did, didn't I?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I think we covered.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, we kind of went around the table.
Yeah.
Which is good.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, well, I pulled up this kind of sheet over here I had for like, Jake, here's some questions you could ask people. We already know who you are. What do you do for work? You don't have to say the company. You don't have to say where. Just what do you do?
I work, I'm basically just in fast food. I've been at the company that I'm with for 5 years now. And it's been pretty fun. I like the people there. Customers are normally pretty cool, but obviously sometimes get those Karens.
Was that Karen's and Chad's? There is a big goose walking out there. Sorry, ADD moment.
Nice. Ashley, did you get your fish?
It finally came in. I haven't actually gotten it yet, but it finally came in.
Okay.
Are you a fish person?
No, at the company, when you work there for 5 years or for 1 year, you get a hard hat. Oh. When you work there for 3 years, now you get a little neon sign that's really cute. And then for 5 years, you get a taxidermied fish.
Oh,
because the founder and CEO of the company, he fished specifically with sockeye salmon in Alaska to raise the money to start this restaurant. And so now, when you work there for 5 years, you get this giant fish.
Well, that's interesting.
That's fun.
I'm excited.
Well, maybe when I get done working where I'm at, I'll get something really nice in the form of a hunting trip or something to another continent. Okay.
Talk to your boss.
I almost run my boss over multiple times, the big head boss, because he's way smaller than I am. And I'll just turn around and there he is. A very quiet person walking and just turn, boom, there he is. Like, dude, I almost ran you over. I don't want to do that. I don't want to lose my job.
One of my bosses does that. He like sneaks up on me. I won't hear him coming. I can even not have my headset on or have my headset really, really low. And he'll just like walk down the hallway and he doesn't make a sound. And I'll glance up and he'll be like right by my monitor. I'm like, oh gosh.
I kind of do that to people too sometimes. I'm 4'8", so really small. I can just like maneuver around, and just all of a sudden some people like look. I'm like, why? Like, hi.
That's my mother-in-law. She's either 4'9" or 4'10", and a lot of times she's out of my peripheral. So she'll just be walking and just scare the ever-loving crud out of me. We're all about jump. I'm 6'1", she's 4'9". It just scares the heck out of me. She might be 4'10". I might be. That wouldn't be over-exaggerating. What is that? I want to say over-exaggerating or under-exaggerating. I don't know, but she's like 4'9", 4'10" in that area. Scares the heck out of me all the time. She doesn't mean to ever. She feels bad about it. Have you ever had any negative things said to you from Christians at all?
I mean, not really. I do have kind of a funny story of one time. I went with my mom and her husband to go visit some of his family out in Gothenburg, and we were staying up there for the weekend. So we were staying up there on a Sunday, and so they wanted me to go to church with them. I just really wasn't feeling it. I was like, I really don't want to go. Like, I don't want to get up, super early and everything. And I don't feel like it. My mom was like, well, you don't have a choice. You're coming. And so I was like, all right, if you're going to be like that, then fine. So I wore a band shirt that I had that kind of looked like it had like a devil or something on it, or like some kind of like demon or whatever. Did my makeup like extra dark and everything, or like just made sure to go like all out.
You rebel.
Yes. And my mom, I got ready that Sunday morning and everything to go, and my mom was like, really, you're wearing that? You need to get changed. And I strategically was like, this is all I brought, so like I gotta wear this. And she's like, whatever. And so I went and everything. And then afterwards, my mom's husband got a message from somebody at the church. Was like, hey, so we noticed like the girl that was with you and everything, like, hey, we have this church camp that's going to be going on. Like, I think she would really benefit from going to that. And I was like, like, no, thank you. I'm okay. But I was just like, wow.
Oh, man. I can see that where people are trying to be like judging you for the way you're dressed. That's one thing I noticed here when I started coming here was like during the summer, Sturgis just got out. There were multiple people in there in the congregation that like basically had half naked chicks on the back of their shirt. Nobody cared. That's one thing I loved about this. Like there was no judgment about the appearance at all.
Right.
Because here's the thing, even dressed like that, if Jesus showed up, he would have been like, hey, yo, what's up? Let's hang out. He would have hugged it. That's just how he was.
Yeah.
I'll never understand people judging for appearance. It's like, honestly, if I walked around and showed my tattoos, I think some people would have issue with it, but it's just what it is.
I just got my sleeve done, so
I keep looking at it while you're talking. I'm like, ooh. Like, you see the eyes on it. Like, what's it about?
I mean, so there's this tattoo artist in Hastings that I actually used to work with at my first job for just a very short amount of time, and she does tattoos now. And so I've seen her work on Facebook when she had started tattooing.
Yeah.
And her work is so good. And so I started with this girl on my arm, and then I'd had some ideas of like this. I have the Stark mark with a couple flowers, which is supposed to be like good coming out of the bad, representing like that type of thing. The eyes is actually from Twilight when Bella becomes a vampire for the first time, opens her eyes. That's what that is.
I see that now, yeah.
Yeah. This dagger on the back of my arm, I don't remember exactly what the dagger like represents in like tattoos and everything, but like I thought, the representation is really nice, everything, and it fits well in this part of my arm. The ribbon is from the book Eclipse, which is the Twilight. I just needed, kind of something to fill in space. I was like, hey, kind of fits, just Twilight theme right there. And the bat's kind of the same thing of like, I thought it would look cool, and then I looked up what, bats mean in tattoos, and also just thought it was really cool. So, yeah, just, kind of some cool stuff.
What's the lady?
It's just something the tattoo artist drew up.
Okay.
She had a few pieces that she's like, hey, I want to do these. If someone wants to come get them, I'll do it for, $400, which is cheaper than what she would normally do them for. And I was like,
Yep.
yes. So, yeah, it's just something she kind of designed. She kind of reminds me of like a vampire or something. And I love vampires and like just like fiction and stuff like
Yeah.
yeah, I love it.
So she did really good on them roses there, and the eyes are really well done too.
The,
I'm really impressed.
the eyes are very
Yeah.
impressive. They're very impressive.
And I also have on my thigh a really big flower that the same artist also did with a couple of strawberries and like a moth and stuff. Like, it looks so cool.
See, my wife, she wants to get like a whole Harry Potter thing down her arm. She's got it started right here, which is like, gosh, that hurt. That's a very tender spot in the arm right there. Because I know when he started, my tattoo, I started getting like near my armpit, that I was like, okay, he's ripping my skin apart. That's what it felt like.
Yeah, armpit's not like getting close to there. Yeah, it's not fun. And the elbow ditch and the elbow aren't super fun places.
Well, that's like right near the bone. So I'd imagine that had to hurt. Like, I know people that have gotten them on the side. I'm like, no, I'm too much of a wuss for that. Sorry. I mean, big might have served in the army, but no, not doing it. Can't do that.
Right.
Like, honestly, this one around my finger hurt. On my ring finger, that hurt quite a bit. Otherwise, the only other most hurtful would have been when it went across my spine when he did the outlining of a couple things. Yeah, for me, I've got my army tattoo here. We're the 1074th Outlaws.
Okay.
So that's what that is. And then that's my wife with a motorcycle. And then it's a outdoor scene that eventually goes to like a Mount Rushmore on the back
Nice.
with my name. I've got plans for a lot more, just not the time or the money to do so.
Same.
And speaking on tattoos, I know a lot of Christians freak out about tattoos. But here's my thing on that. The whole tattoo law was put into Leviticus because they just left Egypt. And in Egypt, what were all their tattoos?
Egyptian gods, I'm sure.
Yep, they were all Egyptian gods and the paganistic stuff.
Sure.
So a lot of the Israelites, they developed the same, I guess, belief systems, almost what's the word I'm looking here for? The cultural beliefs of the Egyptians. So all these laws were put into place to pull them out of that because they were living extremely immorally as well. So tattoos were put in there not only because it was unsanitary, because there's a part in the Bible where it talks about all these medical things. That was the deal with tattoos. They're very unsanitary. You could lose your arm, die from them, what have you, I can imagine, because anymore tattoos, super clean process. Very clean. They have to be super sterile. But also it was to keep all those different religious symbols off of you. And
That makes sense.
yeah, it's kind of my thoughts and kind of what I've listened to some other like preachers talk about too. It's like tattoos now, they're different. And as long as you're not doing something like putting a raw on here or something like that, to where it's not a worship thing, shouldn't really be a problem.
Yeah.
And I know there's going to be people listening to this freak out about that, but whatever. I don't care. I've read up on it, studied it. That's what I've come to the conclusion of. If you want to talk about it, come and join us on Talks and Crocs podcast, and we'll discuss it. I invite you. That's fine. Challenge me. Do it.
I say some people have the same opinions about piercings too.
Yeah.
And even just like the simple ear piercing is crazy. But I mean, I get the laws in Leviticus, and a lot of that stuff, most of that stuff was abolished when Jesus came.
Yep.
So, I mean,
That
most
was
of
the
that
first covenant.
yeah, most of that stuff doesn't apply anymore. And the verse that always comes back to me, I can't think of the reference for it, but it's when I believe it's Paul refuses to eat the food that's not kosher, and God says, "Don't make unclean what I have made clean." I can look up the scripture.
Is it Paul? It's Acts chapter 10.
Yeah,
I
it's
know
in
which one you're
It's
talking
in
about.
Acts. I don't
That's my favorite chapter in Acts.
remember if thought it was Paul, but maybe it's not Paul.
I was just
It was
going to
Peter.
look for it.
It was Peter.
It was Peter. Okay, that's
Yeah, it's Acts chapter 10. The story's Cornelius calls Peter. But yeah,
Okay,
I
yeah.
love referencing the one you're talking about. That's one of my favorite chapters because it's like, boom, blows your mind. All the stuff that people keep talking about. We got to keep doing this. But it's like, hey, all these things remained clean and holy when Jesus died.
yeah.
Sorry to interrupt you.
No, you're fine. You're fine. I couldn't remember who it was, and I'm terrible with names. Unless if I've just read it, I'm not gonna remember all of the details. I know the story. I've read that scripture so many times, but again, like the tattoos and the not eating shellfish and not eating bacon.
Yeah. Not mixing different materials with your clothing.
Yeah, yeah. There's a lot of things that are in the book of Leviticus that were all the laws that they had to follow, and some of it was just for good hygiene purposes. I mean, because they were going to get sick, they didn't have the medical technology, they didn't have the ability to get as clean as we can get. I mean, a lot of it was just common sense. Don't eat this food because this food will make you sick.
Yep.
So
Like raw pork and fish and stuff because you get parasites from that. So
Right.
there's a lot of laws to keep people healthier.
right.
And it's like, hey, if this person gets a disease for this, it looks this way, acts this way, get them out of the settlement or the village or whatever, because that's going to spread and kill everybody else.
Yeah.
There's a lot of like kind of that stuff we find is common sense now, but apparently must not have been back then because they had to have this whole giant book written down and all these laws.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that it is more common sense now, and then it was nobody knew better. Nobody had tried it. So then God gives them all these rules to try to help them live healthier and do things the right way so that they don't get sick and they don't die and they don't suffer horribly.
Yeah.
So.
True.
I swear there's always things going on in your head.
There are always things going on in my head. You're not
Let them out, Chris. Don't
no,
hold them back.
You don't want that.
Okay.
I do.
Now,
I could edit bad things out if I had to.
now there's always things going on in his head, and there's always something role playing game
Yes.
related going on in his head.
I am generating stuff right now. Yeah.
Like he'll generate characters, whole plot lines. Yeah, oh yeah.
I've got a thing I want to run for our Monday group, and I've told them I'm going to call it Jawbreaker, but I'm not telling them anything else about it.
Willy Wonka meets D&D.
No,
That could be fun.
yeah, it would be fun, yeah, but it's different.
I'm just trying to imagine like a Willy Wonka deal now with that. Oh, that could be crazy.
I could write it up.
The Willy Wonka factory
That'd be fun.
tabletop game.
Have goblins instead of Oompa Loompas.
Oh my gosh.
Lots of fire.
Willy Wonka could be an alchemist.
I'm already on this.
You have to try and survive in the candy shop.
Yeah.
He's a
Factory.
human alchemist.
You win the golden ticket, and you're like, "Hey, it's gonna be a cool." Then you're like, "Oh no, this is survival. This isn't cool at all. I didn't sign up for this." And that's what it's gonna be. We're good. Another Monday group right there.
Yes.
I'm hoping eventually Shawnee and I can maybe do a little bit more than just once a month, but come March might not be able to do a whole lot extra. 'Cause March 11th is the due date, by the way.
Oh, okay. Congratulations.
For anybody that doesn't know that listens to the podcast, I haven't told you, by the way, I'm going to have another kid.
Yay.
That's how it is.
Hoping boy or girl.
It would be easier if it was a boy, but I really don't care either way. Easier because we already have all the stuff.
Sure.
But Joe, this past Thursday, goes, I'm speaking, it's a girl. It's like, oh, well, okay, I guess. I have to deal with that. I don't know how to handle that, but I'll deal with it. I'm happy either way.
I'm kind of hoping girl too, to be honest. Because then Shawnee won't feel like she's the only woman in the house. She'll be able to, it'll be easier for her to relate to a girl.
But we have 3 female dogs.
It's the same, but it's not the same.
Okay. My mind was going back to when you're talking about people kind of forcing you to go to church and like say prayers and stuff. I'm against that. I don't think it should ever be forced at all. It should be the person's choice.
Yeah.
It's like with my nephew Jasper because we had a deal that happened where he rose his hand after John Chash asked a question. I asked him if he wanted to get baptized. And I went through this whole deal with him to make sure he understood what it meant. And I kept asking over and over again, is it your choice? Is it your choice? That's my big deal. It's like my mom I got baptized as a kid, and then I remember doing it as a teenager to kind of make my mom happy. So it didn't really feel like any of that was my choice, and the one it was kind of wrong. And then when I was 30, it became my choice. So that's a big thing I want to make sure people understand. It needs to be the person's choice. Don't force them. Don't force your kids to get baptized. It needs to be their choice. Because if it's not your choice, it's meaningless to me.
Agreed.
Well, I know that certain, and I hate to use this word, but I'm going to. I know that certain religions emphasize that you should baptize children when they're like babies, which I get. You're trying to ensure that they're going to be godly beings. That's fine, but that's not really their choice, and they don't know any different. So
Right.
Yeah.
I get that.
In Catholicism, I think the reason for that is because they believe that children are born with original sin,
Yep.
and in order for them to go to heaven, they have to be baptized, which is not how that works. But
Nope.
because of that, they baptize infants as soon as they can, because
Right.
if the child dies before they can do all the stuff that they have to do to become a Catholic, then they don't have that sin on them so that they can go to heaven. But I don't believe that. I believe that it's age of accountability, that every person gets a choice, that the age of accountability for each person is different. So it's once you understand and you're able to make the actual choice. So somebody could be in their 20s and not understand and not be able to make that choice. I know that a lot of people think, well, only kids, but some kids figure it out way earlier than adults do.
Yep.
It's true.
I think it's age of accountability because God knows our hearts and only He can judge that. I don't think anybody else can determine whether or not somebody is saved.
Well, that's where I think it plays on the free will aspect as well. How can you have free will if somebody's forced you to do something?
Yeah, it's not.
Yeah.
And it's not your own choice if somebody else is forcing you to do it.
Yep.
I mean, if somebody says, "Okay, say this prayer with me," and it's the prayer of salvation, it doesn't do anything. If somebody says, "Well, you need to get baptized," and you haven't made that decision, it's nothing. I mean, baptism isn't what saves anyway. It's an outward expression of an inward transformation is what baptism is. So any one of those things being forced upon somebody, it doesn't save them. So
Sorry, my mind's all ADD. Did you notice all the geese that walked by too? I was sitting there watching them as well. But yeah, it's the free will thing is like, I think that's one of the greatest gifts that was given to us as humanity was free will. And it's like, I don't think God would like want you forced into worshiping Him right away, because then it's really meaningless. It's like you need to go live that other life and then choose to come back or choose to go too, because otherwise, what's the point?
yeah, that's what the story of the prodigal son's all about, is about making that choice. I mean, at least to me, it is. It's more than. I mean, there's a lot of scriptures and a lot of messages that people use those scriptures for, but I think it's more about that making that choice, because once you make that choice, you're finally running into the arms of the Father, who was like, "Hey, I've been here this whole time."
Yeah.
So
It's like with me, I know before I came to it, I was big into alcohol. I was going to start a motorcycle club, do all these bad things. And then there's a change that happened, and now I don't really drink. I don't smoke. I don't do any of these things I used to. I'm not against anyone that smokes or drinks. That's your choice. That's whatever. It's just personally, I can't do it anymore.
right.
It's like, one, I know if I have one beer, I'm going to have another, and then I'm going to have another, and then it's going to be 20. I've got no control over that really when it happens, so I stay away from it. But there's changes that happen when you finally let it end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And not all motorcycle clubs are bad either.
Well, no, like the Christian. Well,
Yeah.
there's a lot of riding groups. There's a difference between clubs and groups. Like I'm part of the Legion Riders here in town, and I'm the chaplain. But like we're a riding group, and we're the only ones that are really allowed to wear our patches up at Sturgis. Because I don't know, we fall under some like thing like, hey, you guys are cool. All of a sudden, our clubs are okay with you, but we're not a club. We're a group.
Okay.
And there's a huge difference.
Yeah.
And most riding groups have to fall underneath a club to even be allowed to exist.
Okay.
So you can create a group, but then you're going to get pressured to be like under the Hells Angels or something like
Right.
that. Which not all the Hells Angels are bad people either.
Right.
So that's why they call it 1%ers. There's 1% of all these clubs that are the actual bad people. There's a lot of Hells Angels that are doctors, dentists, lawyers, and stuff like that.
I
So I'm
have-
not... Go on.
I'm not for sure who they are or anything, but I guess I have some family that are in the Hells Angels, I guess.
Yeah?
I couldn't tell you who they were or anything, but I know I've heard like my brother and stuff talk about it. Like, yeah, we got some like cousins or whatever that are part of that. It's like, cool. Like, okay.
Yeah, I don't think I could ever do the club life. That's not me, because the club's above everything. That's what it is. If the club says do this, you go do that.
So it's a religion, basically.
I would call it that.
Yeah.
Because that's religions. It's like you do this and nothing else. You know, that's just how it is. It's like I say that's just how it is a lot. I just realized. I'm sorry, guys. But it's like, yeah, you say this prayer at this time, this prayer at this time, this prayer at this time. Otherwise, you're in deep trouble. So it's like, yeah, I could say the same thing. Clubs are kind of religions in all reality,
Yeah.
and a lifestyle.
Yeah.
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 I'll have to get Jake transition from saying that's how it is to this is the way.
This is the way.
I love saying that.
Hey, they said that in Bible times too.
I know,
Originally,
right?
Christianity was
Yeah.
known as the way.
That's right.
So yeah, this is the way.
Yes. Backed by God.
The way this is.
That's a pretty good Yoda voice.
It is
I
pretty
do a lot of voices. You haven't seen nothing yet.
That's awesome.
I'm getting Ronan to do voices now too. He's starting to do different accents and stuff. My only problem is I can't do a British accent. It always turns Scottish. Every time.
Mine always goes Australian.
Australia, mate.
Always.
It's not really that hard to go Australian. It's pretty easy, mate.
I start English and it just goes south immediately.
Like if I do the British, it's like really hick redneck British.
Oh my gosh.
Way hickish. So
We should have a podcast episode where we just talk in accents.
everybody just talks in accents and changes it up differently every time.
That'd be so much fun.
I have no idea what accent I would use. I'm terrible with accents and maintaining
Same.
accents.
I can kind of do British, but
Go all Canadian. Just after everything, just go
Yeah.
or sorry.
Yeah.
Or outside.
Right? Let's go outside.
Go outside.
Go outside and walk, yeah.
We're gonna go get in the boot.
Right.
A boot.
We're gonna go oot in a boot.
With that letter Kenny, they had a whole spiel on how do you say about?
About, yeah. The Yanks say that, we say it funny. Yeah.
A boot.
A boot.
A boat.
What did he call what did he call that missionary guy? G.I. No.
I don't remember.
This might be an episode I haven't watched.
Maybe. Jared, I can't think of his character's name.
Oh, are you talking about the extremely right guy?
No.
Okay.
The main character in Letterkenny is
Oh,
at his house, and one
Okay.
of the missionaries shows up,
Okay.
and they have a fun name for him. He called him a GI something, and then they talked about how this guy sounded different with his about than they did, so that starts that whole conversation.
Didn't he say like a boot?
Yeah, a
boot.
boot. Yeah.
I think I know that episode now. I just can't remember what he called him either. And why can't I remember the guy's name? The main
The
character.
main character, right? Yeah.
I don't wear belts because I buy pants that fit.
Right.
Guy.
You talking about Wayne?
Yeah, Wayne.
Yeah, Wayne.
Nice common guy name. That's why we can't remember it.
I was like, you said Jared, and I was thinking of the character for the extreme right guy. His name is Jay, I think.
Yeah, Extreme Right J. Yeah.
No, Jared Kiso. That's the actor.
The actor, yeah.
My mind went Jared Leto. I'm like, that's not
No,
right at all.
that's not right either.
That's not right at all. Didn't he like do the new It movie? Was that him? Or who was that?
That was Jared Leto. No.
Jared Leto, he was Joker.
Joker.
Joker,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, the guy who did the new Pennywise was,
You talking about the Skarsgård guy?
yeah, Skarsgård.
Oh.
One of the Skarsgård brothers.
Oh, that's right. I
Did he do
forgot
it?
about that.
Which one? Oh,
Hey,
I
Skarsgård.
don't remember.
Yeah.
There's two
it
of
Bill?
them. What's that?
Is it Bill? Bill Skarsgård? Or is that one of the other ones?
It might have been Bill. There's two of them. One of them did Pennywise, and the other one was
In True Blood.
yeah, in True Blood. He plays
Oh gosh.
Eric,
Eric, yeah. My brain
and he's
was
a
like,
big Viking guy, and that dude is tall and
Oh,
lean. Yeah,
he's a big dude, but Eric in the books is a big dude, so.
yeah.
Oh, so that fits then.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, they casted him well.
Yeah, he's really well cast.
What's that movie? It was books, and then I want to say the guy that played Mission Impossible did the movie, and now there's a TV series where it's a big, huge guy that was in the army, goes back, his brother's killed, and then he basically frees his town from oppression from a big family that owns this giant factory.
Is that the one The Rock was in?
No, it's a different one. It's a guy that's in. Why did I just forget the TV show? It's just one of my friend's favorite TV shows. It's like a college show with a bunch of sorority guys in it. And then they have this guy go play. And I hate how I can't remember names of stuff. I blame my concussion and getting blown up for that one. I'll remember later when I'm driving home. Reacher, Jack Reacher.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Yeah,
I've
that
never-
guy. Originally in the books, he's supposed to be a giant of a guy, but then the original movie was whatever the guy is from Mission Impossible,
Oh yeah.
who's not large at all.
Yeah, it's Tom Cruise, isn't it?
Tom Cruise, there you go.
Yeah, okay.
People are going to be like, how does he not remember Tom Cruise?
Some of us are trying to forget him now.
I heard the latest Mission Impossible was good, though. I haven't seen it, though.
I couldn't tell you.
I don't know.
I won't go.
You don't like Tom Cruise?
I loved Tom Cruise until he started to subscribe to a certain religion, and now I don't want nothing to do with him.
Yeah, Scientology.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll name it. I don't
One-
care.
Yeah, I was going to too, but I was being dramatic.
I say once he jumped on that bandwagon, everything changed about his movies.
Yeah,
and,
it's all about how much money he can make.
well,
Oh, yeah.
that and he, the things that I've heard about him, and take it as a grain of salt because it may be true, it may not be true, but he just sounds like he's so full of himself that he throws like little baby fits and stuff. So that doesn't encourage me to go see his movies. If all he wants to do is throw little baby fits about things.
Apparently, the new Snow White actress is doing the same thing. Like I keep hearing that she's really mean to people.
Oh yeah.
And throws fits about everything. And I'm real.
Weird.
Yeah, I don't understand that one. You're in this big role. One, do your job, and then be nice to people,
Yeah.
to everyone lesser than you. I don't understand that. When I was put in charge of people in the service, I was never mean to them. In fact, a lot of time I treated them as they were my equal. It was just, I had the final say in stuff.
Yeah. Some people get like just a little bit of power and they just
Oh, yeah.
go all off.
Yeah.
There's a certain E5, which is a sergeant. Sorry, it's a certain sergeant I had that was that way. Really irked me off. He got mad at my mustache one time because it was a little bit out past my lips. And, I had to walk away from him.
Right.
He came up to my chest, so it wouldn't have been good.
And Tom Cruise, if you feel like coming on the podcast and talking to us about it, we'd love to have you on.
Exactly. I would love to hear your aspect on religious views and what Scientology is.
Right.
I doubt he's ever going to hear this.
And then the next time we come to the podcast, the limo pulls up and he walks out. I'd be like, oh, well, let's go.
That would be the most shocking thing ever.
Right.
It'd be cooler if it was a helicopter, though. You get this whole
Just
Mission
land
Impossible
in.
thing. Just helicopter comes in, jumps off.
Sweet. Yeah, let's go.
Act like John Wayne. How John Wayne used to fly in with helicopters everywhere.
I liked Tom Cruise before that. Like Legend, Top Gun. There's some really just great movies that he did back in the day. And he was just, it seems like he was a better person then. It seems now that he's just so full of himself. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Yeah, after you joined Scientology, I know a lot of people, kind of the same way. They're like, don't really like him anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No. I don't think I've watched a movie of his in forever. Years and years, to be honest with you.
I think the last movie that we watched with him in it was, I can't think of the name of the movie, but it's the one where the day repeats over and over again. Where it's like a war movie.
Live, Die, Repeat.
Yeah, it's that. That's not the name of the movie though. That's the tagline.
I wanted to see that because I saw bits of that on TikTok, and I'm like, okay, this actually looks good.
Yeah, it was actually a really good movie, and his acting was good in that one. So
I think I saw a part of that when I was at the Y one day running on the treadmill. The TV was up and had it playing, and so I was like, oh, this is awesome.
yeah, it was really interesting.
It was a good movie, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, Last Samurai. That was a good movie.
That was a good movie as well, yes. I'll give that. Was he the last samurai? Mm-hmm. That was him? Mm-hmm. Why am I imagining somebody different, completely different?
Edge of Tomorrow is the name of that movie.
Edge of Tomorrow, yeah.
Yeah, Last Samurai is a good one because he's a cavalry officer and they go to Japan and he's supposed to infiltrate and try and figure out where their hidden base is at, and he ends up becoming a samurai and fighting for their side. It's really good watch.
Isn't there another movie that's not the same but has similar themes, and it's got Matt Damon in it?
Matt Damon.
I think.
Matt Damon.
I think it's got Matt Damon in it. That might be the movie you're thinking of. What is that movie called?
No.
No?
I know The Last Samurai is one.
No,
Does he
no,
grow
no.
a beard in The Last Samurai?
I wasn't-
Okay, that's what I'm imagining right now. I can't remember the normal face.
I'll say I wasn't talking about
Oh,
it. I thought
okay.
maybe he was talking about that one, because I think there's one with Matt Damon in it.
Are you thinking of Dances with Wolves with Kevin Costner?
No. No, it's a samurai movie, if I remember correctly.
I love in The Last Samurai that spot where Tom Cruise is in the village with the samurai, and he thinks that he's all American and I'm a cavalryman. I can fight this guy with this katana with my saber, and he just gets tooled and keeps getting tooled by this guy because he couldn't hold a candle to him.
Oh, okay.
Such a better swordsman.
I was wrong. It's not a samurai movie. It's The Great Wall with Matt.
Oh,
Damon.
okay.
It's Chinese, not Japanese. I apologize.
Oh, jeez. Two different cultures.
Yeah.
Yeah, you offend the Lees. Stacy.
Yeah, I apologize. That's totally a different movie.
Just so nobody gets the wrong idea, my last name was Lee before the Civil War, so that's what I'm referring to. I'm not being mean.
Oh, man. All right. So to go on to another topic, the Help My Unbelief podcast, they have people on there. It's supposed to be a podcast for those of the unbelief. So that might be something you're interested in, anyway, because they have a lot of atheists on there. They also have people that say they're satanic atheists and all this stuff. It's really, it's different. It's way different. There are even people on there that said they were Christian witches, which is something I've never heard of before.
I've never heard of that either. That's
No,
crazy.
It was way different. Well, they had a gal on there not too long ago that said since she was 12, she was able to visit heaven. I think I brought this up to you. It was very intriguing to hear what she was saying, and a lot of everything she was saying, what she saw and all this was biblically accurate. And as a Christian, you're supposed to use discernment for things. So I'm not going to lie, before I continue listening to that episode, I hit pause and I prayed, hey, God, if this is real, let me know that. If it's unreal, let me feel that. And I'll just, not really believe exactly what she's saying. But as I listened to it, it was hitting me that a lot of the stuff she was saying had been real. Like everything she was describing, my headset is being really weird. Everything she was describing just seemed right. So I guess a lot of Christians, they go to where they focus on specific sins that really irks them off, right? You know what I'm saying? And she had one she was struggling with because where she lived or how she grew up, homosexuality was a huge sin to them. And immediately they're the fire brimstone people. You're going to hell if you're that way. Well, so one day she said she was up there in heaven. One day she was up there in heaven and was asking Jesus about it. And she said he took her to kind of a place where a bunch of people were gathered. And he introduced her to a guy that was in a half dress, but then half regular men's clothes. So women's clothes, but then men's clothes at the same time. And she was super confused about it. And she went up to him and asked him, I don't get it. How are you here if you're like this? She's like, well, that was my lifestyle. But because I had the faith the size of a mustard seed, because I had faith the size of a mustard seed, I was allowed in. I made it to heaven. Of course, he said he didn't live that way anymore because that's not like the way you live in heaven. We're supposed to just worship and stuff in heaven. But he said even though that was his lifestyle on earth, because of his faith the size of a mustard seed. And I don't know if anybody knows that mustard seed is probably can't even see it in the camera. Yeah, that little big.
Yeah, they're teeny tiny.
Yeah, that much faith got him into heaven. And I got to thinking about that. Like, that's got to be totally true. I don't think that just because somebody made that sin, it will keep them from getting into heaven.
Right.
And I could back that up with the story of the man on the cross that died with Jesus. Because he never got baptized. He never did all these religious things. All he said was, remember me today in heaven. There he went straight to heaven.
And Jesus said, you'll be there with me.
Yes.
Yeah.
So as long as you have that little bit of faith, a little bit of faith is gigantic.
Yeah.
I don't know, that was something my wife and I talked about. That was when I was like, I wish I had that 20-minute clip we were talking, because I was going off, but I have a hard time of replicating something I already kind of went off on. But it's like that story there, it spoke volumes to me, and I think people really need to think about that, because a sin is a sin no matter what. There's only one sin greater than all other sins, and that's blaspheming the Holy Spirit. So let's say I go and wear clothing made of two different textiles or whatever. That is technically a sin in Leviticus. That sin is no greater than the sin of homosexuality.
Right.
At least from what I've studied and what I've read. So I go and obsessively drink and obsessively drunk. That is a sin. That's no greater than that. If I went around blaspheming against the Holy Spirit, against God, against Jesus, that is greater than all other sin, because that's one that can't be forgiven.
Right.
So that's kind of my aspect on it. That it even though it's a sin, it is no greater than any other sin, if that makes sense.
They're all equal in God's eyes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like that's definitely one of the better ways that I've ever heard of anyone like talking about it, because obviously people, some people like throw around with Leviticus of the whole, at least I'm pretty sure it's Leviticus of man shall not lie with man as he does with the woman, as then they've both committed
Where they should both be put to death.
yeah.
It's Leviticus chapter 18 verse 22.
And a lot of people will just focus on like homosexuality and everything, and like just kind of ignore other things, and they're like, being gay is like awful and everything, and like you're going to hell, but then it's like, well, this also says these things, what about this? And they're like, oh no, it's fine, those ones are, we don't care about those ones. It's like, okay.
Yep.
Right.
Like if you go through Leviticus, every sin, you're going to be put to death. You're going to be stoned. That's how it is. You sin, you die. That's just how it is.
Right.
So that's like you go through that. Every sin is the same as all other sins. But there was a way we were given to be forgiven of sin. And that was through Jesus Christ.
Right.
And I'm getting all flustered.
I'm so grateful that happened, because I would not want to have to go through all the Leviticus laws on my entire life.
My Lord.
It'd be horrible.
Yeah.
It was ridiculous, some of the things they had to do. But I get it. Different time, it's a different world.
Yep.
Yeah. There's a scripture, and I don't remember where it's at. I was trying to find it. That basically says homosexuality is wrong, but it also lists drunkenness and witchcraft and lying and thievery. Who hasn't lied? Who hasn't stolen something?
Yep.
I mean, we all sin. Every single one of us does stupid things. We all make bad choices. No bad choice is worse than another bad choice in the eyes of God. I mean, we may put some kind of arbitrary ranking system on sin, but sin is sin is sin, and it separates you from God. Every single person sins.
Yep.
And getting saved does not keep you from sinning. It
Right.
just, once you're saved, you try to sin less.
Yeah.
And if you sin, you can be forgiven of it.
Right. Right.
You have to repent.
Right.
Which means you're asking for it. And repenting isn't just like asking for forgiveness. It's also kind of like you start changing yourself a little bit.
Right, changing
Start
of the
changing
heart.
your ways.
Yeah.
Yes.
I
So-
say a great thing that I've heard about is it's something about like like stoning people to death was like a big thing, and it said he who is without sin can throw the first stone, and
Yes.
it's like
Who is without
nobody
sin
can.
cast the first stone. I actually just read that before I came into Grand Island. That's a story of where they bring this woman up. She committed adultery. We should stone her to death, kill her. And Jesus just goes over there, starts writing in the sand. A lot of people theorize it was him writing the sins of the priests and all this in the sand. He goes, he who is without sin cast the first stone. He who has not committed sin, go ahead and condemn this lady.
Right.
And they all leave.
My opinion on that is that Jesus was writing down names. He was writing down the names.
He could have been writing names and sins.
Writing
yeah.
the names of the people that sinned, that
Right.
had the same sin as her.
Oh,
Or might have had sins with her. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's what he was writing down, and I think some of those priests were included.
Yeah, and they're
Oh,
like,
that could have been.
nope.
Yeah, that's. I mean, it's completely conjecture, but that's my opinion of what he was writing down, because they don't say what he wrote down.
No, but I bet it was something along those lines of like writing the people's names down and their sins as well, showing that hey, you're not living without sin. Those without sin go ahead,
Right.
Go ahead.
I
It's like
found-
hey, there's no one here.
I found the scripture I was thinking of. It's 1 Corinthians 6:9-11. Or do you not know that the wrongdoers will not inherit the kingdom of God? Do not be deceived, neither sexually immoral, nor idolaters, nor adulterers, nor men who have sex with men, nor thieves, nor greedy, nor drunkards, nor slanderers, nor swindlers will inherit the kingdom of God. So,
And that was one of the letters from Paul to Corinth.
yep, it's in 1 Corinthians.
I think I got to thinking this morning too about how some of his letters are like super like, I guess beaten down the people of that area. Because in one of them, I think it's in Romans, he brings up Sodom and Gomorrah, where they were super horrible about how they were doing things. They were gang raping people. They wanted to rape angels, all this horrible stuff. So he would bring that story up to kind of get people to stop doing what they were doing because it was getting bad. So I think that's kind of why Paul went real hard on some of his letters.
Yeah.
I don't know, but like I brought up that whole story. It's just like I personally, I don't have my own experience with that. It's just that's how I am. It's like a sin is a sin. I'm not going to condemn them for that. That's not my job. That's why I asked that question earlier. What's the job of a Christian? It's not my job to condemn and judge people.
Right.
It's my job to show everybody love, because that's Jesus is love. That's what it is.
Yeah.
And then Dalton, last season, I'm in love with a man. That was actually one of our most popular clips on TikTok there, and it's true though.
It is true.
Yeah.
Kind of feel like wheels are turning in your head and yours.
I forgot. I was gonna say something, but I don't remember what it was now.
I'm sorry, it's my fault.
Welcome to Talks and Crocs.
Yeah, if you end up going and listen to some of the episodes, they get really ADD,
Yeah.
like straight up all over the place.
It's very entertaining, though.
Especially when Dalton and I get going
Yeah,
at
when
it.
these two get rolling, you're just like, woo, roller coaster.
Right. No, I remember that. So yeah, because you said Jesus is love and everything. It's
Yes.
like, that's definitely how I feel like it should be. Obviously, like people who believe in God and Jesus and everything, like like Christians or whatever. Like that is how I definitely think like everyone should live. Obviously, not everyone does, because a lot of people do. Especially against homosexuality. It always ends up being especially a big debate on like with the big thing like a few years ago of a lesbian couple wanting to get a wedding cake and getting it denied for it because of their religious beliefs, and on whether like that actually should happen, of like your religious beliefs, that you should be able to do stuff like that, which I 100% like agree of like you have your religious freedom, get to do like you get to believe whatever you want to believe in, and worship however you want to worship and everything. But for me, like once that comes into like discriminating against people and stuff, that's where I'm kind of like that's where things definitely get a bit muddy and everything. Like yes, it's religious freedom, but then it's like you're also discriminating against someone and like stuff like that.
Yeah, it's like I know business owners have the right to deny people. That's part of that's written in the law. But also, I'm not going to deny something like that from somebody just because I don't agree with how they're living. As long as they're not being a-holes to me because of my beliefs, I'm going to treat them just fine. And so treat others as you want to be treated.
Yeah.
That's
Right.
how I am. That's my thought process on that.
Right. I'm gonna play devil's advocate
Got it.
just
Do
a little
it.
bit on that.
Do it.
So, one thing that we've talked about a lot, not in this podcast, but in the past, is that you have to do the things that you're convicted about. So if you have a business and that's something that you're convicted about, that it's wrong for me to do this thing, whether it's make a website or do invitations or something for a wedding like that, if you're getting convicted in that area, I can understand why somebody would deny that. Now, I don't think it should be handled in a mean and hateful way. It should be, hey, I can't do this for you. I know somebody that can do this for you.
Yes.
Here's this other company. Here, they make great cakes. Go here. You know, it should be handled in a delicate way, because honestly, if the way Jesus loved people was not to say, okay, you're a sinner, I don't want anything to do with you. What did he do? He went in and he ate with tax collectors and sinners, which the IRS was like the worst, even though they're not technically the IRS. But because the tax collectors back in the day, what they would do is they were charged with collecting a certain amount of money from areas. They would collect more than that and keep it back for themselves. They were being dishonest. So a lot of people didn't like the tax collectors because they did this.
Yes.
So Jesus would go in and he would sit with tax collectors and sinners and adulterers, and he would eat with them, and he would, spend time with them, and he would love on them. But I understand if somebody has a conviction that I can't do this because I can't help you do this thing that I feel is wrong, that yes, let's deny the service, but at the same time, it should be, let me refer you to somebody else that can help you better than I can.
Yes.
Yeah.
Instead of handled, I think sometimes Christians tend to, rather than think with the heart of Jesus and love with the heart of Jesus, they tend to think, okay, this is what I'm supposed to do. And they get all frustrated and flustered and go more towards the law.
Yeah.
And that's not what we're supposed to do. We're not supposed to carry on the law. We're supposed to love people and show people what Jesus is. We're supposed to be Christ-like. That's what Christians are supposed to be.
Exactly.
So I play devil's advocate a little bit, because I know that there are some things, like some people get convicted about scary movies. Some people get convicted about the drinking specifically.
Yep.
So I can understand from a certain point of view how somebody would do that, but I can also understand how that would hurt somebody else. So if you're going to say, hey, I can't do this because of my religious beliefs, I want to help you go find somebody that can do this and do a referral, you know.
Be tactful about it.
Yeah.
And nice and not an A hat over it.
Gentle
Yes.
and kind.
Be gentle.
Yeah.
And I love that. I've seen this thing where it's like, there's kind of a difference between, I can't do that because it's against my religion, and no, you can't do that because it's against my religion, especially if that person doesn't believe the same things you do, whatever. It's like there's a difference there. And I absolutely love how, if denying them service but still being like, hey, but you could go try these people or whatever.
Yeah. So.
Oh, I was just thinking, what time do you got to go to work tonight?
Not until 5.
Okay, it's 3:00. Just letting you know the time. I'm watching the time. So I know I was told you had to work, so I just want to make sure you're good to go here.
Yeah, and I brought my stuff with me and everything, so we're good.
I was also trying to remember that story. I couldn't remember if those business owners just flat out denied him or what happened. I can't remember at all.
I don't know. I mean, I've listened to news broadcasts on both sides of the political spectrum, and the story that I've put together through all of the things that I've heard is that it was basically just a no, I can't do that because of my religious beliefs. I don't know that it was necessarily harsh. But you have to realize that when somebody's going into a cake shop to get their wedding cake, they're already emotional. They're already, at a heightened state of emotions. So if you're not if you're not aware of that, then you're not necessarily going to be tactful about it in such a way that you're just going to turn people off of Christians and ultimately off of Christ.
Right.
So.
I also wonder how much the media blew that all up.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because
I hate the media and I hate politics. So, the whole political spectrum, I think parties need to get destroyed. Get rid of all political parties.
Oh, yeah.
That could be a whole nother thing I could go off on.
We can pray.
Yeah.
We can pray.
Yeah.
It's about all we could do.
Yeah, there's so much that's screwed up in our politics. I don't even want to go into it right now, but yeah, I listen to and read news articles from the left and the right, and then centralist positions, and listen to the same story, different ways, and the way things get blown out of proportion. And sometimes it's warranted on one side or the other, but then other times it's like, this is this little tiny thing and everybody's blown it out of proportion in weird ways. So
If I remember right, I had heard that, with that whole situation, that the couple didn't really want to make a huge deal out of it, but they were kind of like pushed to from like their, I don't know, like friends, families, something, I don't know. But yeah.
So they were influenced by others. That's something I'm working on my son with. Don't let others influence you into doing things you know are not right. So that's happened before, and it's like gets him in trouble, even though I know he's not the one that like. It wasn't his idea, but he's got pushed into doing things that weren't right. And we've corrected it, and he understands. It's just trying to get him to not be influenced. Peer pressure.
Peer pressure, yes.
Peer pressure.
yeah,
That's a heavy burden sometimes.
Yeah, slippery slope.
Trying to think where else we can go right now.
Lots of places.
yeah.
You want to take us there?
Target, let's go.
Isn't the
Don't
near-
have that yet. Not here in town, at least.
We were just in Target last night, so
Nice.
it's still in my brain.
Isn't the nearest one Kearney?
Carney, yeah.
Is it?
I remember when I was a kid, they used to have hot dogs. I mean, they were the best hot dogs. I swear up and down, they're the best hot dogs. I was told they got Starbucks in there now.
Yeah.
It's like you could refill it, unlimited refills, as long as you stay in the store.
Really?
Yeah.
I still won't go.
You're not a Starbucks fan?
Oh, no. I've been to Starbucks twice since they changed their beans from the old style. I don't know what it's called. I'd have to call one of my bean friends and talk to them about it, to what they do now. And I bought 2 mochas about this size. I'm going to use your cup, for example.
Okay.
Took a sip and sat it down and never finished it.
Really? Just
'Cause
that bad?
It's bad.
Yeah.
Compared to so many other places. Like Scooters is decent. I'll go to Scooters. But I will not go to Starbucks.
See, when I do Starbucks, I get like their like fanciest sound and stuff, and I'll ask the people, I'm like, what would you add to it? What'd you do to it to make it better? Then I let them just do whatever they want to, and usually it turns out good. Like I got this thing in Colorado when we were out there in the mountains a couple weeks ago. Where it was like some kind of caramel crunch something or another, and it was like layered in the bottom with whipped cream and like crunch stuff and caramel sauce and coffee, and
Sounds
then
really
they layered it again. Oh, it was awesome. But I had 2 of them in one day, so I was like super hyper and drove all the way home from the other side of Denver in one night. Just no problem, just driving all the way. Target. I ain't been in there since I was a kid. The last time I was in there was when they were doing hot dogs, and that had to have been when I was before I was a teen.
Gosh,
It was an easy 10 years ago.
I remember when Target used to have hot dogs. They used to also have like Pizza Huts inside some of them.
What?
Yeah, in Kansas City, some of them had Pizza Huts. I don't know if they still do. It was like a little Pizza Hut Express, like some of the truck stops and stuff
Yeah.
have. So they'd have like the hot and ready little personal pan pizzas and breadsticks and stuff like that.
They had
Nice.
everything down in the borderlands.
I miss when Walmart had McDonald's. That was always my highlight.
Yes. Oh.
McDonald's as a kid. Mom, can we go to McDonald's? Get chicken nuggets. Walk past the little lobster tank thing with all the lobsters crawling around in it.
Oh my gosh.
I always kind of felt bad for the lobsters. Honestly.
They don't. Yeah.
I mean, they all get eaten.
Yeah.
Still,
They don't
just
know
do this
any
little
better.
thing. Yeah,
Yeah.
true. Interesting thing about lobsters. Did you know originally those were used to feed prisoners because they thought as like the lowest food?
I'd heard that.
Yeah.
They
Originally-
were eating like kings.
Yeah, that's what we think now, but back then that was bug meat. That was the lowest of the low, and then it was a marketing thing that got them to where everybody thought that was high class eating.
That's funny.
It's kind of the same thing with diamonds. It's a marketing thing. Sorry, diamonds aren't as rare as people think they are.
Right.
It's a giant warehouse in Europe that has most of the world's diamond supply.
Would have been fun to have been a prisoner back then, just for that reason.
Oh gosh.
We go back in time, put on a bib. Time for supper.
Got to break a law so I can eat lobster. Let's go.
Not for the living conditions.
No. So many
But-
other things that are bad. Yeah.
But for the lobster, it might be worth it. Just saying.
So bad. You might end up with lice and bed bugs.
At least you're eating well.
You'll be itchy all over, but you'll be having some tasty food, I guess.
All right.
Well, are we about towards the end right now?
What time are we at?
We're at 15:07, so 3:07. We've got an hour and 35 minutes into this.
You're the one who
Of
gets
course,
to,
I'll cut out about 4 minutes from a certain spot that we were discussing some things.
You're the one that gets to edit it. So
Well, this is like super easy editing now that I got this switcher, to be honest with you.
okay.
By the way, thanks to the Help My Unbelief guys for telling me about switchers and what they use, because I asked them, like, how are you guys doing your cameras? Because I'm like, man, this is horrible having multiple cameras up, trying to splice everything, add it together. It's just horrible editing time. It'd take me 6-7 hours to edit 1 hour of podcast.
Yuck.
So yeah, found that out from them. It's really not that hard to edit.
It's nice.
You have anything on your mind, Mr. Chris?
No.
Lies. You always have something
That's
in
true.
mind.
So, anything popping up in your head, Miss Ashley? Like question-wise, anything?
So not really. It's been pretty good. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'd say if you ever want to be back on here, you're always welcome.
Thank you.
I had a great time personally. The whole atheist side of things, I understand that. I had a problem with it for a while and didn't really believe for a little bit there. But I don't know. You hang out with us more, you might start switching the other way, especially since we're not going to be judging you for anything like that. So, yeah. Any final thoughts from you two?
Yeah, we love Ashley.
We do love Ashley.
That's kind of why I trusted you guys. You told me, Mr. Chris, that you wanted to bring Ashley on, and I'm like, okay, I trust you on it.
I've got a friend that's an atheist that I'd like to get on here, but he'd do it. But that's a whole nother topic.
Yeah. I got a friend from work that I want to bring on here because he's got issues like, why would God let this happen and not this happen kind of thing. So I'd love to have him on too, because it's like I feel like those are totally valid questions for somebody. It's like they say, I don't believe in God because of this. Okay, I want to hear it.
Right. Yeah, let's talk. Yeah.
Yeah.
I get that. I for sure sometimes, I kind of think that way too. Where it's like, there's some things where, I do kind of think like, well, if there is a God, it's like, then why does all this bad stuff happen? Like, why is there, like I have a cousin and his wife who had their first baby was growing, just not correctly and ended up losing the baby, and they're like the best people in the world. I love them so much.
Yep.
And it's such a sad thing. Now they have 2 healthy boys, and where it's like stuff like that where it's like, well, why does that happen and everything? And
Like I lost, we had 2 miscarriages. So I kind of understand that part there. There's a whole year and a half, I was in kind of a depression. I didn't really let anyone else see it, but I know my wife could see it. But I was in a big depression from it, so I kind of understand that one. Mm-hmm. I just got to the point where it's like, I'm just going to give it to God, and we're going to have a kid, a nice, healthy kid whenever he deems it the right. Mm-hmm. It's like, that's like part of what I wonder, the whole DNA thing. It's like, God put us here and all this, where do I want to go with this? It's not always in control. Like he doesn't always control everything. I think it's like a lot of things fall into the free will aspect. Like our genetics do a certain thing, but then it's like, okay, well, this kid isn't going to be, there's something wrong. They're not going to live a good, happy, healthy life, or they're not I don't know what I'm trying to say with that, but there's a reason. I just got to believe there's a reason. Otherwise, I'm going to go insane with it.
Yeah.
Well, there's so many factors that I think tie into free will of why certain things happen in your life. For this instance, if you have a miscarriage, it could be because one of you drank or did drugs back during a certain time, and that set up the DNA marker for the failure of the birth at that time. There could have been, there's so many different variables I could see why it would affect, things you eat, just so many different variables that I think I could see why it sets up that way. But it all ties into free will, honestly.
Well, and part of it is that we're in a fallen world.
Yeah.
And the devil interferes with things and causes things to happen. But through every bad thing that is allowed to happen, God uses it to build things in us. And it's not always fun. A lot of times it's not fun. Sometimes it's really, really, really hard to see past the darkness and all of the bad things that are going on, and then the internal thoughts that you have where you get into the cycle of depression and a downward spiral basically. But I do honestly believe that God works all things together for good. Like it says in Jeremiah 29:11. I love that verse. That's my favorite verse in the Bible. Because I've seen it in my own life. I mean, there have been things that I've gone through as a kid that have been really, really hard to go through. But then those things that I went through prepared me for other things later when I was an adult. So there are reasons things happen. There are reasons why God allows things to happen. I don't think God does bad things to us. There's a scripture that says if you ask God for bread, he's not going to give you a stone. And I think that God gives us good things. The good things do come from God, but he doesn't micromanage everything.
Right.
Because part of it is the free will thing that you're talking about, but part of it is because if you don't have the bad times, you don't learn to depend on God.
Right.
If all you have are good times, then you are self-sufficient, you're self-reliant.
Yeah. For anyone that wants to know what Jeremiah 29:11 is, I pulled it up real quick on my laptop here. It's, "For I know the plans I have for you, says the Lord. They are plans for good and not for disaster, to give you a future and a hope." Because I've heard that one from 29:11, but I couldn't remember what it was, so I had to look it up.
Yeah. Jeremiah 29:11. Yep.
It got me. I got to thinking about something. Like, I was listening to you, but ADDing at the same time. I want to go back to the LGBTQ deal. What would the devil want Christians to act like towards the LGBTQ community?
The devil would want us to act against them because
Exactly.
we're denying them the path that they've been given by God.
Yes.
Right.
And that's the worst thing that we can do. Yeah.
He'd want us as Christians to be total A-hats. I keep saying A-hats. I want my flesh is wanting to come out here on this one. He'd want us to be mean and unruly and unjust
And
to the
judge.
LGBTQ community.
Yeah.
Yes.
He wants us to ostracize people that disagree with us, people that are in sin. I mean, he wants us to do that to each other too. It's the you want to take the speck out of your brother's eye, but take the plank
splinter,
out.
yeah.
Take the 2x4 out of your own eye first. So I mean, every single one of us does dumb stuff. We all screw up. We all sin. We all fall. All have sinned and fall short of the glory of God. I think that's Romans 8:28.
Do you want me to fact check it?
Yeah, go for it. 'Cause I think it's 8:20. I think it's Romans 8:28.
That's fake news.
But I think that's what the devil wants us to do is just ostracize people and chase them away.
Right.
And wants us to be violent and wants us to be mean he wants us to do that when we get flustered because of the person that cuts us off in traffic. Hey, look, I have that sin.
Well, and this boils back to what we talked about last episode about what do humans do to things that we don't understand or fear. We automatically try and destroy it.
Yep.
Yeah.
We're all subject to that. So
Yes.
Yeah.
Satan's like, oh, look, here's my inn. Let's go.
Yeah.
It's a semi.
Oh, okay. Semi breaks.
In case you can't hear it, it's semi-braking outside.
Yeah, there's a major roadway just to my right, your left. But no, it's like the devil would want us to be that way towards the LGBTQ community, and I'm not going to be that way. I'm going to do like Jesus did and love, be nice, respectful, It's just how it is. It's like, I mean, he had I said it again. Every time when I say that's just how it is, we need to like,
This is the
we
way
need to do something. I need to get a jar and put money in it every time.
Yes.
We need to get a bell so we can ring the bell every time.
Dude,
we do it.
yes. But no, he had thieves, murderers, tax collectors. He didn't care.
Prostitutes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
He loved everybody.
Yeah.
That's how I'm going to live my life.
Yeah.
I mean, love thy neighbor is
Yep.
Yeah.
a
Yep.
big thing.
Yep. You're supposed to love your neighbor, not just love your neighbor. You're supposed to love your neighbor as yourself.
As yourself.
So
yeah.
you're supposed to treat your neighbor the way you want to be treated, love them the way that you want to be loved. So if you want to be loved and accepted, you're supposed to love and accept your neighbor. But people don't do that. And a lot of people don't love themselves, and that's the reason they can't love other people.
Right.
Sure.
So,
Yeah. And luckily, the with LGBTQ plus community, like especially more the lesbian, gay, bi community, like it has gotten a lot better over the years of acceptance and everything. And now the big thing is like trans people are having to struggle so hard, and so many people are now. A lot of things that used to be said about like gay people, lesbian people are now being said against trans people, and it's just weird kind of seeing like it coming back around now on trans people. It's like we've been through all of this before with gay and lesbian people, and now we've come on the other side of it, and now it's
Yeah.
trans people having to go through it.
And it's like me, I've struggled with how I was raised, backwoods, back country. And I've struggled with that, but it's like I fell in love with Jesus, and it's changing my whole line of thinking on things and realizing the way I was thinking is not even biblically accurate anymore. Like you get into the New Testament, the New Covenant, it's not even accurate. I'm not backward. If I did what I grew up with, I would be judging hardcore and hating on them. But that's not how I am.
Right.
That's not what I learned. That's not what fell on my soul and in my heart, if you know what I mean. It's like I was convicted of how I grew up,
yeah.
and I'm against it now.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that is what happens with a lot of people is, getting raised to believe one way and then just trying, to then, they grow up, don't believe that anymore. So then they're just having to, try and work against that and everything. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like we're supposed to be a country of multiple mixed cultures, mixed beliefs, and everything. And we're getting away from that where we're trying to push people to believe other things. It's like, you don't believe this? Well, then bye, And I'm hoping that changes. 'Cause I don't want to see this country go under. We all need to learn to respect each other's differences, beliefs, and love each other.
Like a lot of people say, America's a Christian country, but it's like we don't have like one, religion for like the whole country or anything. Because we, one of the reasons we broke away from Britain was for religious freedom
Yeah.
and stuff. So you could worship how you want and what you want and everything. And some people definitely are kind of forgetting that. And they're like, no, we need to teach, God in school and like Bible and stuff. It's like, well, I mean, I'm not against that, but also I think we should then, not just one. It should be, kind of learn about all the religions and learn about everything and not just one. If you want them, if you want your child to learn about the Bible and stuff in school, then send them to like a Christian school or Lutheran,
Right.
whatever school.
That public school should just teach knowledge.
Yeah.
Let it be at that.
Yeah.
Right.
It should veer away from all of the religious aspects.
Yep.
Now, one thing that I've heard as an argument is some people say, well, even if we're not going to teach any of the religious stuff, we should still have the 10 Commandments posted, which I kind of agree with it, but I kind of don't agree with it because the 10 Commandments is specifically Judeo-Christian, Christian, but it is what most of our laws are founded on: not stealing, treating people with respect, honoring your father and your mother.
You could post it
Don't
without the
kill.
first commandment, and it would technically be okay for anybody.
Yeah, there are 2 commandments. One of them's no other gods before me.
That's the first one.
And then the second one is no idols, which are basically
yeah.
they're basically the same thing. I think in Judaism it's one commandment, but maybe that's
I
Catholicism.
always thought
I
it
don't
was the
remember.
same commandment.
It's 2 separate commandments.
I believe it's 2 separate
It's
as well.
2 separate commandments. But
Well, I think
a lot of our laws are focused on most of those things.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of those things are good to have in schools because people don't respect each other. Kids don't respect the teachers don't respect the kids. We've lost the ability to respect each other.
The rest of the commandments in that aspect are more of a moral code than they
yeah.
are anything else. And
Yeah.
it'd be great to have posted.
Yeah, yeah. That's stuff that used to be taught in school. That's no longer taught in school, and those things I think are very important because it's what our country was founded on and what a lot of our laws were founded on.
Yep.
So,
Quick trivia here. What was the one commandment Jesus never repeated?
it was.
Oh, I know this.
It was honor the Sabbath. Is that the one
Yes.
that he didn't repeat?
Yeah, he didn't talk about the whole Sabbath
Yeah.
deal. Because if he like wholeheartedly believed in that, he would never have healed on the Sabbath.
Yeah.
He would never have worked on the Sabbath.
Honor the Sabbath and keep it holy. Yeah, yeah. I was like, man, I know this. Which one is it? I had to go through them in my head. Yeah.
I had to throw it out there. Sorry.
Yeah, you're good. You're good. So, like I said, some people say, well, even if you're not a Christian, this would be a good thing to be posted in schools. And like I said, some of them I think we really should actually focus on just teaching people to be nice to each other.
Sure. Yeah.
I mean, because what's school for? School is to teach kids how to learn
Yeah.
and teach kids how to function in the world. And if we're not teaching kids how to function in the world by how to be nice to each other and all of that stuff, then what are we doing?
Yep.
I remember my senior year in high school, I used to always get so mad in my English class because my kids were other kids in my class were always just so rude to the teacher and everything. And she was an awesome teacher. I love her. And she, would struggle with kids just being dumb kids and stuff. And like almost every class, I just want to yell at them, be like, guys, knock it off. Like some of us are trying to learn here.
Yeah.
Ugh.
It's like one thing I think schools are definitely failing on. They're not teaching home ec anymore. They don't teach financial literacy, which I think it took me up until the age of 30 to realize that I had a problem with that. I didn't know finances at all. They need to teach more home ec stuff, financial literacy, and basic mechanics of vehicles. And I really think schools need to get back on that. Schools need to step out of the religious things and out of the political thing and just teach knowledge and life skills.
Yeah. Definitely a political range they need to not be involved with.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's one of the biggest problems right now.
For sure. Yeah, there's a lot of good things to live by here on the Ten Commandments. So, like you shouldn't murder somebody.
Yeah.
Right.
Don't go do adultery. Cheat on your significant other. Don't steal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Honor thy mother and thy father.
There's more to that one though. So also talks about where the mother and father shouldn't anger their children to the point of
Wrath.
like that.
Yeah. Yep.
That's something that's left out a lot. And I think Shawnee brings that up a lot. She's like, don't forget this part. It's like, yeah, that's true. Because you I don't know.
You're not
You
supposed
said-
to terrorize your kids, basically.
Right.
And don't, what, there's a word I'm looking for here. It's where you, oh man. I know there's something called breadcrumbing where you like, you'll treat a person real badly and then give them a little good thing. So then they start like craving that.
Yeah.
And there's something along the similar lines that, wow. It's where kind of narcissists do it a lot. I'll remember how to drive home again. Sorry. There's a word for it though, because I know a lot of people that are this way where they're kind of, the word was just said to me yesterday at work.
Describe what it's like.
To where gaslighting.
Gaslighting. That's what I was thinking too.
Yeah.
Sorry, gaslighting. So like I know a lot of parents gaslight their kids too, and that I think that falls in there. You shouldn't gaslight your kids. Shouldn't breadcrumb them, any of that either.
Yeah.
All right. We are at almost 2 hours. I think we should probably start wrapping up. You will be part of the longest podcast episode we've ever had.
Oh, Ashley.
And I'm really excited you were on. I'm hoping you'll be on again. If you want to come on, sure, whatever. If you guys want to bring her back on, bring her back on.
We need to add her on the Discord, which
Yeah.
is going to be easy because she's on our Discord. So
Do you have to add people, or can they just jump in?
If you have an invite link that is always available, like one that never expires, then you can post that link and anybody can join.
Oh, I didn't know that.
But
We'll look into it.
But if you haven't created an invite link, or if you just create the normal one, it automatically expires after either a certain number of uses or after a certain amount of time. So.
Okay.
And Ashley, I assume that you want us to add you to the Discord, to the Talks and Crocs Discord.
Sure, yeah, I'm down.
Okay,
for
perfect.
Sure.
Yes.
This is fun.
There's a lot of private channels, but I think we'll open that up once we start getting other people in. There's just administrative channel things mainly right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just find it way easier to talk to multiple people at once using Discord. I never used it before until you two added us for the monthly game.
Yeah.
Love Discord.
It's nice because it's cross-platform and you don't have to have a phone. You can use it on a tablet. You can use it on a computer. It's so nice because then you don't have to deal with the Android iOS stuff or anything else, and you can mute channels and there's so much you can do with the notifications that you can't do with other apps.
On the topic of Discord,
Yes.
maybe one of those board game nights that we have, we'll bring Alice's Missing.
Oh,
And
yes.
it's a really cool game where you're a bunch of kids that come back to a town and one of your friends is missing Alice, and you're supposed to find her, but you use devices to do all the narration. You don't literally talk to each other except for where you have to. There's a card that's flipped, and it basically tells you how the narration's going to start, and everybody's got a role, and it's usually set up on Discord. And so you just have conversations between everybody on cell phones or tablets. It's so much fun.
Yeah, it's really neat. They have a layout for the Discord, a template that you can use to create your own Discord server to do it on.
Oh, that's interesting.
It's called a silent role playing game, and you have cards, and it's kind of like Clue because you're trying to figure out where she's at, what her location is. There's an item that's related to her her disappearing, and there's a person, and there's a countdown timer. So you have it's like 90 minutes. I think. So it takes like 90 minutes to play it, but nobody talks during it at all. You just sit and play on your devices.
I warn
Sounds
you,
really cool.
right now my ADHD is going to go nuts with that.
It's so much fun. We've only played it once. We played it once on a Monday.
On a money group, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, our sessions last like 3 to 4 or 5 hours sometimes, so I'd be down with playing that.
And it's weird coming from the traditional role-playing game aspect to that because you're literally sitting there for like 90 minutes on your phone, jumping through different conversations and trying to piece together what's going on, but you're not talking to each other at all except for
just through the text messages. Yeah.
Or natural things that you have to discuss, food and such.
Yeah, you're not. The way that game's supposed to be run is you're not supposed to talk at all.
Right.
You're not supposed to. You're supposed to set like rules ahead of time, things that you don't want to go into, like you don't want to go into torture, anything like that. So you set rules ahead of time so that everybody knows where the soft lines are and the hard lines are, then you have, I think there's a card with an X on it that you can hold up so you can pause the timer if you need to stop anything. But for the most part, you're just supposed to sit there quietly and just message each other. And when certain points hit on the timer, everybody has a bunch of cards. So you'll have the card with the time on it. So when it hits that certain time on the timer, then you flip that card over and then do what it says.
You get more information,
and you it tells you to like draw an item card or draw a location card, and then you use that to role play to say, oh, I saw Alice with so and so on this night. But you have to kind of keep track of what you're hearing about Alice, so that in your private conversations and in the big group chat, so that you know where the story has gone. And then at the end, there are different endings. We kickstarted that game, and we've played it once, and we actually kickstarted the expansion. There's an expansion that has more cards.
It's really neat.
Now I want to
Sounds
bring
great.
up. Sorry, did you want to say something?
It sounds very fun, and I love Clue, so that's definitely like right up my alley.
Yeah.
I wanted to bring up. There's going to be some people that are Christian listen to this. They're going to hate what we're talking about right there, because they're going to be like, "Oh, that's D&D. That's the devil. A foosball for the devil." But I disagree with that because it's not an idol. It's not like we're actually performing, casting spells and stuff. It's all in a game. And if you play any game with violence or anything like that, I could say that straight back at you, but it's not you actually doing it.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, if you go out and you actually try to live that stuff, that's a different story.
Right.
Yeah, what role-playing games really are is cooperative storytelling. It's you're working together with everybody else to create a story together,
Yep.
which there's nothing wrong with that. Now, if you have a problem, maybe it could become an obsession, and then it could become an idol, it could become a god, you know. But anything can be that.
Yep.
So that would be one of those, if you're convicted about it, don't do it.
Yeah, kind of falls on to last week's episode.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
Where we talked about watching scary movies, is that going to let the evil in or whatever? It's like, well, if it bothers you, if you think it's going to cause problems, don't do it.
Yep.
If you're really Christian and truly believe in that, you just say in Jesus' name, whatever evil or whatever, be gone. That's how it is, because in Jesus' name, all demons and stuff will flee. And you'll ask for protection. But, I don't think any of it is really... I wouldn't say the tabletop games are any issue, personally. No.
There's an amazing Christian role-playing game that's out there. It's been out there since '86, technically, and I've got 2 copies of it. It's fantastic.
Well, let's do it sometime.
Well, I want to run it for the Monday group sometime, but I don't want to try and think that I'm lassoing people into certain things. Not that I'm, I'm just telling you ahead of time.
I love all the stories that come out of the Monday group that I hear.
Oh,
They're always fascinating.
Yeah, the stories.
Yeah.
Ask Dalton about piercings sometime.
Oh, God.
Is it one where he was like fascinated with the pirate's piercing or
Yes,
something? Yeah.
yes.
He brought that up last season on one of the podcasts,
I thought so.
I think.
Yeah.
And it was hilarious.
We laughed so hard about that.
Great.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Yeah, the stories.
Yeah.
It's a fun group.
We have one of the. Sorry, I'm going to plug our Monday group here for a little bit. One of our upcoming game sessions. One of the guys who never GMs is going to GM, and he's going to run a superhero game.
Oh.
And he's like, he's asking us, because he's going to do it eventually. It's not next Monday. And he's asking us, and there was 3 of us that were like, ooh, invisibility and flight, that's the powers we want. And I'm like, man, I don't want to get locked into the same powers as everybody, unless we're like the group of, flying invisible people, Because I was like, ooh, flight and invisibility, I love those 2 powers together. And then somebody else said it, I'm like, man, but then I was like, we could be twins. That'd be cool. And then somebody else said it, I'm like, we're on this train now. Come on.
As long as you don't become like the TV show Invincible.
Right.
As long as you don't have a character like that, good luck if you do. That's all I got to say on that one.
Yeah, next Monday I'm hoping to finish up our Parks and Recs game.
Yes.
And it's Parks and Recs, like T-Rex.
Like T-Rex.
Oh.
It's not what you think it is.
Yeah, Parks and Recs.
Well, okay, it is kind of like what you
They're-
think it is, but not really.
So it was a one-shot that I ran when Chris was doing VBS, when he was doing the Super Kids Camp. And the one shot is your dinosaurs, you're on an island, there's a storm coming, you have to get off the island. So we went through that, and they managed to escape the island through all kinds of crazy shenanigans. So then they're like, we'd like to play this again. So when we had an opportunity, I'm like, okay, we'll finish it out. So they made it to San Francisco, and I made some random tables, and I had them roll for the random tables to see what was going to be in San Francisco, how the people were going to respond to them and stuff. And they actually, one of them was a zombie apocalypse. So that's what one of them was going to be. But actually the one that they rolled was that the AI took over.
Oh.
So there are a bunch of robots and stuff, and they have explored, and they've done all kinds of crazy things. And since Chris wasn't there for the original session, when I brought him in, he actually is a robot dinosaur. So
Wasn't that like one of the old cartoons with the dinosaurs? Where they're like supposed to be, somehow they're all animated, could talk, and then they could revert back to being dinosaurs. And then wasn't there like a version where they were mechanical as well? Come on, somebody has to remember this movie.
maybe.
Where they were in a parade at one point. These kids, somehow they came to New York City, and oh, come on.
I don't know.
Maybe it sounds vaguely familiar, but I couldn't.
I remember this movie, and I used to watch it all the time as a kid. So I'm like, oh, how cool would it be to have a pet, like a dinosaur T-Rex friend, whatever.
For the record, our Parks and Recs, the dinosaurs are genetically altered so that they're intelligent. Mm-hmm. They're not just straight up dinosaur brains. They're
Yeah, they're
smart.
smarter. Yeah.
It'd be kind of scary, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
A smart dino and be able to get through puzzles.
Velociraptors.
Yeah.
I can
Yeah,
open doors.
Yeah.
Here I come. Yeah. No.
Yeah.
Be a totally different Jurassic Park too if they could open doors.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, they were figured out like key codes and stuff to unlock the gates.
Yeah, to let the rest of us out.
Yeah. And, yeah.
I'm a
and-
T-Rex.
And each one and each group has their own accent.
Oh,
The T-Rexes are Valley Girls. It was so funny.
My
Like oh my gosh.
Yes.
yes,
Yeah, exactly. Exactly like that.
that's how I always like to start. Like, oh my god, or like totally, and like stuff like
That's
that.
epic.
Yeah.
It started because we almost all of us have at least one other dinosaur with us that's the same, and so my other T-Rex is our friend Katie, and she started doing the Valley Girl accent, and then when it came for me, she's like, "No, you don't have to," and I was like, "We're all doing it." I was like, "I'm going in," and it's been a lot of fun.
Yep.
I think for our monthly group, we have to get a little. Well, a lot of us are, as few as still newer, so we're trying to get into it. Because the guy you guys brought in, I can't remember his name.
John.
I love how he actually brought the character in when he talks. He does that, so it's like I think he'll help us get there. Because we're newer people. All right, so enough with table talk games. You're kind of the guest. I'd like to give you kind of the final thought of things, if that makes sense. The final word, the final thought. It's the final countdown.
I don't know. This has been fun. It's been, obviously, with me not being like religious or Christian or anything like that. Like this has been a very, very fun experience, and getting your guys' thoughts and stuff on some of these things. I've enjoyed it.
Yay.
If you want to get more on how we think of stuff, come to Sunday at 10 a.m. to our church. And although most time, you're always up in the booth.
Uh-huh.
I'm ushering this Sunday. Are you helping with kids this
I
Sunday?
think he's on sound.
Slides or sound, but
Okay.
I
Yeah.
can be.
So you'd be by
helping with
yourself
kids,
if you came, but a different Sunday you'd probably have us there. But
If
I think
we're-
I know some people who possibly go here. So
my wife's nice; she won't bite you, I promise. No, I definitely invite you to come in here because it's I tell everybody it's different from any church I've ever been to, and I think that's what kind of kept me coming here. Is I have a 3-strike you're out rule, and I came at one of the weird times when it was a different preacher talking, and he was like doing the whole fall down in the name of Jesus stuff, and I was just kind of like, I still don't know if I really believe in that part of it. Like I feel like maybe some people could be overcome by the Holy Spirit enough, but overcome by the Holy Spirit enough that they fall down. But I don't believe in the whole I'm going to touch everybody and because of me you're falling. I'm on the big fence on that one.
Yeah.
Personally.
I've experienced being slain in the spirit, and it's crazy.
See, I'm not saying it can't happen, but there's a lot of people who are saying I did this to you. And it's
No, that's
bad.
That's false teaching.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I've been slain in the spirit, and it's wild. I've had it happen a couple of times, and it's just wild. It's really hard to explain if you haven't experienced it.
Yep.
But
Like I've had a burning bush moment. That one blows me away still, but I haven't had that. I call it burning bush moment like when all of a sudden, boom, you have this giant revelation and like God or Jesus is right there in front of you. I'm guessing you've heard the burning bush story. It's probably one of our more famous ones that everybody always refers to in the Bible. It's where there's literally a
Moses.
burning bush with Moses, and God was talking through it to Moses.
okay, yeah, okay, yeah. I think
So
so.
it's
Yeah.
like, so I refer to it as a burning bush moment. I pray a lot that my brother's going to have that because he has a lot of like psychological issues, and he's in prison right now, not jail, actual prison. He got convicted. He's got other charges coming up. So yeah, I can't even contact him. I found out that they have to have your address according to the Nebraska State Penn's website. They have to have your address. And your information in order for you to contact them, which I think is stupid. How's that going to help any prisoner out? But yeah, I digress on that one.
No, I at my friend's youth group that I used to go with. I remember there was one time my parents are divorced, and I really struggled with that. And there was at one point, I don't remember what they were talking about, but they had people all gathered around. There were some people going around, and you if you were struggling or doing whatever, you could raise your hand, and people would come around and kind of put their hand on you, whatever. And I think basically just kind of pray for you and whatnot. And it was honestly just a very sweet and very touching moment with that.
So, that is biblical there, the whole laying of hands thing. That's a biblical thing. And you mentioned the miracles earlier, and I want to add one in there that I've seen happen right in front of me. It was my wife's grandpa, so my grandpa-in-law, or I'm going to say my grandpa, whatever. He had a stroke recently to where he couldn't talk. It was bad. Then I know my wife and I kept praying. Holly's group, we were praying for him, and then all of a sudden right in front of us, he started speaking sentences. Blew everybody away because he couldn't even say a word, and then speaking sentences, and now he's driving, he's doing everything again like it didn't happen.
Wow.
Which is pretty amazing.
Yeah.
So I want to call that a burning bush moment. That's definitely witnessing a miracle for the most part.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's I think if somebody that's not a believer, not going to just totally corner you here, but I think a relationship needs to be developed, and it need to be a willingness to allow God and Jesus in. And you can't just be careful what you wish for or pray for when you talk about God, this is your final chance. Something big may happen, and it might not happen right then. It might happen a month from now, 2 years from now. Because remember, in the Bible it says a day on earth is a day in heaven is 1,000 years on earth. So our timeline is different from his.
Yeah.
A day is as 1,000 years.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I think a relationship needs brought up, and I don't think Paul, he talks about church is for the believers, the building church, that is already for the believers. But also I think maybe a person needs to get involved with the community a little bit, get to know what the church is. Because I think if you go to a church and all the people in there are bad or treating you wrong or whatnot, you might start getting the misconception that's everybody. And I was getting that misconception until I gave this place a try.
Yeah. It's really easy. Church hurt is a real thing.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it happens a lot.
Oh yeah. I mean,
It's
I've
not a little
experienced
bit.
it more than once, and I've watched people experience it, and I don't want to do that to somebody.
No.
I mean, I don't know if you are the person that causes somebody to miss being in a relationship with God. That's a scary place to be.
Right.
I don't want to
Yeah.
do that. Not just because of fearing God, but I don't want to do that to somebody. I mean,
We've just covered 3 things we could do for topics. And that lasts 10 minutes.
It's true.
Yeah.
Very true.
yeah.
But yeah, going back to it, I invite you here,
Circling back.
circling back around the ADHD moment. Because, by the way, that's from my mind. My mind always trails off to something else. It gets bad when I'm in conversations with people at work because they'll just start looking at me confused, or they just get quiet and wait for me to come back to it. Happens all the time. I've been there 2.5 years now. They're just now starting to get used to me. And I've stopped saying, don't judge me, to just accept it. Just accept it. So, yeah, I invite you here, and I know we love you. That's just the way it is. It's how I'm going to be. I hope I came across as a nice person. I know I'm usually scary to people that don't know me because this big brow bone going on here, caveman, Neanderthal thing going. But sadly, Ronan's going to inherit it, I'm pretty sure. But, yeah. So,
Yeah, no, I've enjoyed it. I've had fun. Thank you for having
awesome.
me.
Awesome sauce.
Yay.
You two have anything for the end here? Any final thoughts?
I always enjoy having conversations with Ashley. I mean,
Yes.
We have lots of long conversations
100%.
after gaming.
Yeah.
I mean, we're at 2 hours and almost 14 minutes right now. So
You could technically make this 2 podcasts. You could make it a 2-parter if you wanted to. You probably have enough
I
content.
don't mind listening to long podcasts, honestly. I
Yeah.
love long podcasts.
I do too, but not everybody does.
Get used to it, people.
I struggle just listening to podcasts. If it has like video with it, then I can do
Yeah.
the visual like input and stuff. It, yeah, helps me.
I think that's why I record it video wise as well. Because not only do I put it on Podbean and then it goes to like Apple and Spotify and stuff, but there's also the YouTube aspect. Because I know a lot of people that would rather put on the YouTube and watch it and listen at the same time. Like when I'm in my kitchen, I'll have something going if I'm cooking or whatever, so I can listen to it when I'm busy, but then I watch it when I'm not.
Right.
So I think that's part of the big reason I did the YouTube as well, because I know personally that's how I am.
Yeah.
A lot of people like the video. I don't care either way. I listen to a lot of podcasts. They're usually on videos. I usually download the video and then I listen to it when I'm driving or when I'm working or when I'm doing stuff in the kitchen. So
I'm a crazy multitasker. I'm always good for that.
yeah.
Except for when I message on Discord and you're really sleepy. I
Yeah.
think I'm talking about the black market, not back market.
Yeah, I was like, wait, what? That's a whole nother story. Yeah.
You got any final thoughts here, Chris?
Get ready for the next episode.
We have no idea what it's going to be about, but it will happen. We'll
Yeah.
discuss. I guess my final thoughts are stop trying to judge people, stop hating on people, love each other, and if they're not believers, don't hate them. Love them. That's what we're supposed to be. There's a song out there that I love, and it repeats over and over again. They will know we are Christians by our love, by our love. And I think people need to take that wholeheartedly.
Yep.
So with that, I love you guys. I'm glad we had this awesome conversation. And Mr. Chris, you want to lead us out with prayer since
Sure.
you're doing so good at it? I mean, I'll do one eventually, but I don't know.
I'm good with
This
it.
might be your thing now.
I'm good with it. Let's
right.
go. Dear Heavenly Father, we want to thank you for this precious time that we had and continue to bless us and love on us like you love to. In your holy and blessed name, amen.
Amen. All right. Love you guys. Don't forget to hop on our Facebook. I'll try to get that Discord link and put that on Facebook. Once you show me how to do that, my non-intelligent self for that. We're also on the TikTok, YouTube. I've got Instagram. We're everywhere. And we will see y'all later. Love you guys. Bye.
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 Bye.